Kentucky scored 2 in the ninth, but the Volunteers, Tennessee, the climb is complete. They have reached the summit. The Volunteers are the very best in college baseball, and the championship flag has been planted on Rocky Top. For the 60th and final time this season, Tennessee says hello win column and hello national championship. Everybody in Vol Nation can stand and repeat or say with me, while they are wearing black, the national champion is clad in big orange. It's Tennessee over Texas A&M. The final score, Vols 6, Aggies 5. The dream has come true. This is Tennessee baseball.
Does that not make you want to run through a wall? Oh, my word, Diesel. Oh, my word. That is fantastic.
I feel
Great
bad for any
call.
fan base that's never experienced a national championship for your team in any sport.
Oh,
Some of those schools out there exist. I don't know who you are, but, man, if you've never had that jubilation, it's. I feel bad for you.
look, I'm not
really
even
do.
a Tennessee fan, and that call right there just gives you goosebumps, man. That was fantastic. Hats off to the Volunteer Network. 99-1, the sports animal in Knoxville. Absolutely terrific call. Volunteers, Diesel. We talked about it yesterday. A radio host on this station picked them to win it all, and they did come through last night. Terrific game. However, things almost got a little hairy there,
Yeah,
right?
they did. I also feel bad for Gamecock fans because you're never going to hear the end of this. You're never going to hear I'm sad for Gamecock fans, for Kentucky Wildcat fans, all of you, Vandy fans. You're never, ever going to hear the end of this.
But I thought Gamecock fans were SEC, Team SEC.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're telling me all the Gamecock fans in the audience, you're not crowing today. You're singing Rocky Top for Tennessee. Is that true?
I don't know, man.
Come
I don't
on.
know. I
Do we
know a
have
lot
a-
of Gamecock fans.
Do we have a single Gamecock fan in the audience who will admit to singing Rocky Top to celebrate Tennessee's national championship? If not one of you will admit it, then you're SEC narrative completely bogus. Shattered.
They won't admit it though.
No,
They won't admit it, but
I wouldn't.
But look, Diesel, if it was Tennessee versus North Carolina last night, you know good and well it would be every South Carolina fan would be pulling for Tennessee, right?
Of course.
Even though they dislike Tennessee, they would be pulling for them. I mean, it is it's one of those untold truths, right? One of those unwritten rules. South Carolina fans would have pulled for Tennessee. I don't care how bad they hate them. They'd have pulled for them last night. It was a great game, a great College World Series, Diesel. I truly felt like last night and this past weekend, I do think we had the two best teams in all of baseball battling it out.
60 freaking wins for Tennessee on the season.
That doesn't sound
unbelievable.
Right. That sounds like an error. Like how do you win 60 in a season?
That also puts Tennessee, Cole, if I remember the statistic correctly, that puts Tennessee at 8-2 on the season in one-run ball games.
Not bad.
Not bad. So
Not bad at all.
there's a stat that we shared. This is a stat that we shared the last couple of days leading up into this series and getting to this point where we said it. Tennessee is elite.
They are
in tight ball games.
They really are.
They really tried to give Texas A&M a chance to come back and steal this thing away. But man,
it was a good game.
Exciting.
Coach him up on the stream says, go Vols. You can join us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is Wire to Wire, a Tuesday edition right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, and anywhere in the world on the free Odyssey app. Did you think it was going to get away from them last night, Diesel, as you were watching? Because they had a nice lead, right? That thing was all but over.
Yeah, I mean,
all of a sudden,
it took 2 runs in the 8th, 2 runs in the 9th for Texas A&M, and it had been a long time since they had put up that first run. That was back in the 3rd. So they went through the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th without scoring a run, and then, oh baby, Oh, baby, did Texas A&M pour it on late.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't enough.
You know what, man? When you talk about a complete team, when you talk about a team like, for the most part, the best team in most sports, the best team does win the championship. But when you talk about a championship team like Tennessee, I said it a few days ago. It might have been last week, Diesel. Find a hole, right? Find a weak spot. Find an area of that team. Strikeouts last night. 13 hits allowed by both teams. But Tennessee, man, you can say, oh, well, they hit the ball well. 13 hits, but they had 14 strikeouts. They're dominant in every facet of the game. Got on 23 times. That was something you and I talked about yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Them getting on base so much. They only left 7 on base last night, Diesel. So they won that statistic. A&M left 9 on. Tennessee left 7 on.
Yep, and that was something that we've talked about over the course of this series, was that A&M was guilty of leaving a lot of runners on base, right? They had opportunities in game 2. They had opportunities here in game 3, but they left a lot of guys on base. And a team like Tennessee, they're just too good.
Yeah.
Right? They are just too good to leave guys on like that. You got to bring those guys around, and a valiant effort from Texas A&M, but it just wasn't enough.
Madcraft says, how is that any different than cheering for a division rival in the NFL so that you can claim our division is better?
Both are lame as hell.
Yeah, both of them are.
Both are lame. You shouldn't do either one of those things.
But you know what, Diesel, Madcraft? It's something that happens by just about every single fan, even though they don't admit it, right?
I think it's more egregious in college sports as opposed to the NFL, because a division rival can get better or get worse based on the trades they make in the offseason, based on injuries. You can very easily change the fortunes of your franchise in the NFL just by choosing to pay somebody the right amount of money, right?
Yeah.
But in college, you can't do that, right? You've got to build up the goodwill to get guys on campus. You've got to do everything the right way. And sometimes, pre-portal, obviously, sometimes you just gotta build those relationships, and it takes time to get it right. There's a stat, Cole, that I'm going to bring up later on in the show when we get to odds to win the college football playoff national championship.
Yeah.
And it's going to blow you away. The number of guys who are on these rosters that win national championships, just how many of them are recruits out of high school. Very few of the guys who are on these teams are transfer portal guys, right? I'm talking about high level 4- and 5-star players. So I'm sure it's the same with baseball. Your high level 4- and 5-star baseball players, those are the guys that you're recruiting out of high school. You may recruit a shortstop or a backup right fielder or whatever, right? To build some depth. But the guys that win you titles are the guys that you recruited out of high school.
You know what, man? Tennessee, I don't want to overreact, but Tennessee last night, that's in the time that I've watched and followed college baseball, it's one of the more dominant teams I've seen, right? South Carolina was very dominant in the 3 years they made College World Series appearances. But you look at their line, we talked about their pitching. Their pitching's fan-freaking-tastic, as I like to say, Diesel. But Moore, 375. I'm looking at the Tennessee lineup. Burt, 379. Amick, 306. Dreeling, 341. Tears, 324. They've got 6 guys in the lineup batting over 300. They've got 4 guys in the lineup whose OBP is over 450. 2, 3, 4 guys whose slugging percentage is over 700. It's nasty. It's a nasty lineup. It's one of the more dominant teams that I've seen in a very long time. As you said a minute ago, 60-13 on the season. That just doesn't happen, man. This team, they were so impressive. I don't know how much they have coming back, and we'll find out later in the 5 o'clock hour as we're going to talk to a very knowledgeable guest as we're talking to Ben McKee. He covers the Volunteers for 247 Sports. He was there in Omaha last night. He'll be able to tell us what they have leaving and coming back, Diesel. But, man, I don't know what it looks like for next year, but this is one of the better rosters I've seen.
I mean, and it was everything we wanted a national championship to be winner take all game 3. We got 2 fantastic games last night, man. This Tennessee Texas A&M game, the Florida Edmonton game in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. That's game 7. I mean, we sent this sports season out in style, right? With some phenomenal games. And this kind of makes me wish, Cole, that we had a national championship series in football. Like, it would be an absurd thing to think about, right? If you get to the, you go through a 12 or a 14 team playoff and you come down to the finals and you got to win 2 out of 3. I mean, we do it in every other sport but football. I understand it's a different game. I understand the physicality, right? But just imagine how great it would be if we actually had that, because we see a lot of blowouts in national championship games in the playoff era, right? We've seen a ton of that. So wouldn't it be more exciting if we played it off in a 3-game series?
Well, here's the question I asked last night. As I watched the College World Series, Diesel, I watched it come to a close. And here's the question I want to ask you in the Tolos. It stands for turn it on, leave it on. I was watching Tennessee celebrate, and you saw the celebration, the dog pile, Tony Vitello just
diving into the stands.
Oh, man, going nuts, right? Throwing water, throwing Gatorade. The scene last night, as I was watching that, I thought to myself, this is awesome. I love it. But how amazing would it be if you and I, who obviously host right here in the upstate, cover South Carolina, cover Clemson, how amazing would it be and will it be when it's one of our teams that we cover who's celebrating on the nation's biggest stage, hopefully in a very soon time frame, 1 June in the next 3 years? I think that we're going to see it. I don't know if it's going to be South Carolina or Clemson, but that's what I ask.
Calling it in the next 3 years?
I think so, man.
A national title coming back to Palmetto State?
I think so. I think we're in a better spot when it comes to baseball than we've been in a long, long time.
That's true. Can't deny that.
Well, Jack Leggett just had no consistency. And that's the question I ask you, right? Kingston was the definition of inconsistency. So the question is, who's back first? Who's in the College World Series first? Is it South Carolina? Is it Pulmonary, Monty Lee and Company? Or is it Eric Bakich and Clemson? 71307 is the text line. Start your text with the word fan. I truly do think, Diesel, that in a 3-year span, you'll have one of our teams back in the College World Series. But I ask you, I ask the Tolos, who will it be? The Gamecocks or the Tigers in Omaha? Diesel, who do you think first?
I think it's going to be I had my answer right up until I started saying it. I think it's going to be Clemson. I think it's going to be Clemson. The trajectory that Eric Bakich has that team on, and now he knows exactly what it is he needs to get past the super regional round. I think it's going to be Clemson, but I don't think South Carolina is far behind, man. If I'm saying Clemson could be in the finals or could at least get to Omaha 2 years from now, I think South Carolina is there 3 years from now.
I like that.
I think they're right there, man. It's not a big difference. Both of these schools are on such a positive path right now.
No, I don't have an issue with that answer. Clemson just got a massive pickup just a few days ago in the transfer portal. Eric Bakich continues to make waves in the portal. South Carolina, I would agree with your Clemson answer. But here's where I would draw hesitation, Diesel. Ray Tanner brought Pulmonary to South Carolina not to win 5 years from now, not to win 10 years from now, right? He brought Pulmonary to South Carolina to win now. And Pulmonary, whether you believe him or not, he said in his press conference, he is at South Carolina in win now mode. If you believe what he said, if you believe he's the right guy for the job, if you believe he can get it done, it would lead you to believe that South Carolina could be the team that makes it back first. However, Eric Bakich is going to make it very, very difficult.
Tolos, what do you think? Who's going to be the first one to make it back to Omaha, Clemson or South Carolina? Text into the show, 71307. Start your text with keyword fan.
T-Swizzle on the stream says Clemson for him. Eric has made improvements every year he's been there. Regional, then super. Next year, Omaha, ? Says T-Swizzle. I like that comment. You're right. He has gotten, each year he does progress, right? He hasn't regressed yet. valid. He's only been there for 2 years, but he progresses. He's progressed in the 2 years that he's been there. That's a good sign from a coach. I do like what he's done, to Diesel's point. It felt like he was a couple of guys away this year from being there. You know, I said all year long that as good as Clemson was, the issue for me was they were chasing all year. Instead of being the team that was being chased, Clemson had more comeback victories than anybody else in college baseball. They were chasing. They were not the chased. In order to win the national championship, you have to be the chased, and I think that's what Clemson baseball will be in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson, it seems like this year were a team that was just a year too early, maybe 2 years too early. You know, and that's okay. It's okay to build this thing, right? You're not necessarily going to be granted that magical season the first year that you're on the scene. And look at Tennessee; they were there last year, they flopped, and a lot of people thought that they weren't going to get back there again this year, but they proved everybody wrong.
Jacob Rogers on the stream says, South CAC, we are back with a new coach. So we've got one on the stream saying Clemson will make it back first, one on the stream saying South Carolina will make it back first. It's a very interesting question. It really is. I think if Mark Kingston was still the coach, Diesel, you and I would have no debate here, right? This wouldn't even be a topic of conversation. It wouldn't. However, Kingston's gone. You have a guy who you feel like's the next guy, so now we do ask the question because there is anticipation. There is a little bit of unknown with Paul Mainieri. But I think they made a good hire. So it does validate us asking the question of who will make it back first. All right, let's bring in our daily Dewey, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. That's the number you can chime in and get your thoughts in. Phone lines are open. Dewey wants to chime in, and let's see what you got. Dewey, what's up, man?
Yes, I don't think neither of them will go.
You don't think?
They're both coaches will be fired. Paul Mainieri will be fired next year.
Did he just laugh? Did we just hear Dewey laugh? He can't even buy his own BS. He's laughing at himself. Dewey, what's going on over there?
He's going to be fired, and Brian Sneaker's going to take his job.
Thanks, Dewey.
Thanks, Dewey.
Do you think we'll ever get Dewey out of character? Do you think like we can ever break him or crack him? That's a great question, isn't it?
Just to quote Winston Wolfe, just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Diesel coming in. Yeah. Diesel coming in with a little bang.
Pulp Fiction for you on a
just
Tuesday afternoon.
You are. That's funny, but bad.
When we come back, Cole, let's look at the other championship that was won last night, Stanley Cup Finals Game 7. How did it happen? The Oilers, they were on a roll. And then, well, not so much. We'll talk about that next here on the Fan Upstate. text. See, you did it twice yesterday. Now I've done it once today. Try to start talking. Got to turn the mic on first.
I'm just going to keep going next time and wait for it to turn
You'd think by
itself on.
show number 65, we'd know to turn our microphones on, right?
Where is the button?
Bunch of idiots in here running this show. We had a texter here says a Clemson, South Carolina national championship would be nutty. Wow. Yeah, man, like a rivalry game in the national championship. That's just stacking layer and layer of awesome onto this thing. I think baseball is the only sport that's ever even remotely possible, right? I mean, like, is that the only sport that both of these teams are actually like legitimately really good at? Both of them?
Yeah, I mean,
South Carolina sucks at men's soccer.
What's crazy though is like you could go back and say, what if the playoff structure was different when Spurrier was at South Carolina? I mean,
but we're looking forward here.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying,
only looking forward.
To answer your question though, will it ever happen?
South Carolina's never, well, not never. I'm not going to say never, okay? But probably never gonna make it to the national championship in football. South Carolina never going to make it to the national championship in soccer. That program is in the dregs. Basketball, possibly. I mean, jury's still out on Lamont Paris. Jury's done, packed up, and gone home on Brad Brownell. I mean, it's got to be baseball or nothing, right? I mean, it's a legitimate possibility depending on what happens with Paul Maneri.
In order for them to play is what you're saying.
By the way, I tried to text you the other day, and I used voice to text, and I said something about Paul Maneri, and even my phone thinks it's pulmonary.
Oh, this sounds close.
Yeah.
Too much for Siri.
Texter says Carolina knocked Clemson out in the Supers in 2010.
Correct.
If I'm the committee putting this together, I'm making sure that those two teams do not play in the Supers so that they could play in Omaha.
I believe that was a 10. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they won that game 10-2 or 10-3. It wasn't close. They killed them.
Do they separate do they separate Omaha into like East and West blocks? Like to make sure that two teams, let's just say, for example, that South Carolina and Clemson both made it to Omaha. They didn't play each other in the Supers for some reason. Obviously, that's a logical place to put Clemson in South Carolina's Super or vice versa. It's logical to want that matchup in the Supers to get some juice for those games.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, let's just say that South Carolina ended up in the Chapel Hill Super Regional, right? Instead of going to the Clemson Super Regional. I mean, it's still possible. Both of them can make it to Omaha. But I didn't know if they separated them sort of East and West to see if they could manipulate and create matchups, because you can't, right?
Yeah,
you can't. We learned from the movie Jurassic Park that you cannot fiddle with the playoff structure and create the outcome that you want, because just like dinosaurs, life finds a way. Chaos finds a way. And last night, Cole, we didn't get a whole lot of chaos in Stanley Cup Finals Game 7. Here's what the final call of that sounded like.
Fans to their feet. Bouchard has missed Draisaitl. Down to our right. Forsling in the corner. He'll try and hold this. 10 seconds left. 2-1 Panthers. A dream 30 years in the making is a reality. Whoa. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup. Lord Stanley is coming home. You always will have a place in South Florida. Oh, my God. The Panthers have won the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. Yeah! Start the celebration, South Florida. The Panthers have done it. Stanley Cup champions!
Should that play-by-play voice charge his color commentary guy $100 for every time he just yells out nonsense in the middle?
There's got to be one more, right? Surely there's one more. Yeah. Let's get one more. Come on, one more.
A bunch of guys.
Come on.
Paul Maurice, congratulations.
We're not going to get it. These are one more.
Oh, what a team. What a gutsy effort.
You know, where's Kevin Harlan teaching these play-by-play guys that move that he pulled in the Furman, Virginia Instant Classic? Do you remember when that shot was
I
hit
do.
and Kevin Harlan just like backs everybody off and says, no, let it breathe.
It's like the armbar you get when somebody hits the brakes real hard.
Yeah. Oh, that's a Frank Costanza special right there. Stopping short.
How many? Oh! I mean, that was unreal, man.
I've heard it in so many of these calls. And look, when the jubilation like that hits you, you can't contain it. Even if you're a broadcast professional, you can't contain.
What? And there's nothing. It's not even a word.
It's not
You're
even
just
adding.
yelling.
Yeah. Where? What journalism school did these guys go to?
Here we go. Ready?
He could be getting stabbed back there, and you wouldn't know.
He stepped on a Lego.
Stepped
Stepped on an army man, and he just
2-1 final. The Florida Panthers win their first Stanley Cup, 30th season in the league. Man, for a team like that and a franchise like that has faced so many years of mediocrity, rumors of NHL contraction, that they were going to be the team that got axed.
Yeah.
Rumors of team relocation, and they were going to be the team that was relocated. For them to finally get it done and win Lord Stanley's Cup, you got to feel great for the fans in the state of Florida.
Every white girl last night in America was confused about the Stanley Cup. They said, I thought the Stanley Cup was the...
I got 3 of those in my cabinet.
I have 19 Stanley Cups in my cabinet because they went viral and everybody has one. Oh, this is a different Stanley Cup. I got you.
That's true.
Hey, you know what, though? How ballsy. Like, you go up 3-0. Mm-hmm. And you've got this thing. Let's just call it like it is. You've got it in the bag.
Right.
Diesel, the series is over.
It's only ever happened once.
One time.
In NHL history. And it was the 40, I've got it here written down. It was the 42 Red Wings. The only team to ever have a 3-0 lead and lose in the finals. The Panthers staved off that collapse. They would have been the second team ever to lose that lead. And I said it yesterday, Cole. I thought Edmonton had this in the bag, right? I thought with the way they were scoring and putting up 18 goals in the last 3 games, I thought they were white hot with the puck. And they couldn't get it done yesterday. It was so weird to see this thing come back and be a 2-1 game. Panthers scored first. Carter Verhaeghe at the 4:30 mark in the first period. Oilers responded in the first. Matthias Janmark at the 6:45 mark. The Panthers scored again in the second. Sam Reinhart, and then all defense from there for the remainder of the game. Edmonton, they got off more shots. They just didn't hit enough of them. Shout out to Panthers goalie Sergei Bobrovsky, 23 saves. Florida, I mean, you have to think the exhaustion of traveling back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
That's what, 8 hours?
Yeah, I mean, that's 5 back and forth flights, right? Format, or was it? Sorry, not 5 back and forth flights. They did 2 games in Florida, so 2 games in Edmonton, and then back and forth. So 3 back and forth flights. That is the farthest distance ever between 2 teams playing in the Stanley Cup Finals. It affected both teams, but it seems to have affected the Oilers more. Florida came out, they were just a more physical team.
Yeah.
They were hitting more than the Oilers were. And man, excited for the people of South Florida. They have just been on a roll over the past 25 years or so. 2 NFL championships, 2 MLB World Series wins. Sorry, I know I got to go back more than 25 for the Dolphins winning those, but 2 NFL championships, 2 MLB World Series wins, 3 Heat titles in the NBA, now 1 for the Florida Panthers, and literally nothing else, right?
That's it. Nothing else. Absolutely
not a single other title
zilch
in South Florida comes to mind.
Nada.
Other than that one. So
0. Let's keep saying 0 until somebody notices.
Yeah, I mean, it's also odd, Cole, that it's the 30th season for the Panthers, and they won their title. But it's also 30 years and counting since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. How is that even possible, right? How is it possible that a country that
It's our
invented the
sport,
sport,
baby.
we've stolen it, we've snatched it away?
You can have your geese back.
USA. You chant it when police go tackle protesters on the 18th green
Yes.
at the Travelers. You chant it at those dirty Canadians across the border who can't even win at their own sport.
Here's what's fascinating, Diesel. I had the call that you just heard of the winning radio call, right? The Panthers radio call. This, however, is fascinating. This is the losing end of the call. Jack Michaels, I will say this. Kudos to Jack Michaels. Very professional on the Oilers broadcast. This is how it sounded on the losers' end of things.
And here come the Oilers. Steele Rodriguez turns, fires wide. 20 seconds to go in the season. Game 7, Stanley Cup final. The Oilers come up ice. One last chance. Bouchard up the right-hand side. Through Draisaitl. Panthers will try to pin it in the corner. 10 seconds to go. 7 seconds. Florida 2. Edmonton 1. Oilers pulling 2 seconds, 1 second. The season is over. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup 2-1 in Game 7.
Now, this is the losing side. He sounded pretty animated, didn't he?
Yeah.
To be a loser?
I haven't heard a speech like that since Clark Griswold when he found out he wasn't getting his bonus at the end of the year.
Sounded similar, didn't it? You know what?
Merry
though?
Christmas, holy bleep, where's the Tylenol?
How's that guy have a voice left after that?
I mean, that guy deserves a raise.
Oh,
that guy deserves. I don't know what the Canadian, the old Canadian Broadcasting Awards are, eh? He deserves one of those for that performance. That was, even in a losing effort, that was
good.
Fantastic.
Only thing that was missing was a good old.
You know what? I'm disappointed, Cole. I'm disappointed
The bit didn't work?
Tolo Madcraft. We threw a lot of shade.
Gosh.
We had this whole thing set up for you, Madcraft, and I know you're here. I know you're watching. You're in the stream. You commented about 30 minutes ago on the stream, and you're a Tolo who turns it on and leaves it on every single day. We're calling out Miami's 2 NFL championships, 2 Major League World Series titles, 3 Heat titles in the NBA, 1 now for the Panthers, and we said nothing else. They've never won anything else in Miami. And crickets.
Nothing. Maybe he wasn't paying attention.
Madcraft.
Maybe he wasn't.
Maybe Madcraft knows that some of those 5 national titles have a little spuriousness.
Hey, we were talking hockey. Madcraft said, "Screw y'all, I'm tuning you out." So he missed the bit there. By the way, Jacob on the stream says, "Guys, I work at home since COVID and just wanted to say y'all make my day go by." Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
You're the man, Jacob. We appreciate you being a Tolo. That stands for turn it on, leave it on. You know what?
Or did he say, "You make my day go," and then bye, I'm out of here?
Screw y'all. Y'all suck.
Punctuation matters, Jacob.
Worst radio show ever.
How do you feel, Cole, about the Oilers player Connor McDavid, who had arguably the most historic postseason any player has ever had? He had the greatest individual postseason in NHL history, 42 points in the playoffs, won the Conn Smythe Trophy, didn't come out to accept it.
You know what? I don't have an issue with it.
You don't?
We just talked about this like 2 days ago. What did Ricky Bobby say? If you ain't first, you last. I don't want no trophy.
Yeah.
Screw that.
He said the Stanley Cup trophy is the only trophy he wants. He's not coming out to get it.
I have no issue with that, man.
I know that 6 months from now, he's going to say, man, I'm happy to have that trophy on my mantle because it reminds me of the phenomenal season that I had. But he's saying, screw that Conn Smythe trophy. I don't want it.
Would you go out there?
Would.
You'd go out there and accept
absolutely would. I would go out and accept it. You got to. I mean, man up, would you?
How about this? Go out and accept it. And when you accept it, smash it on the ice.
Get it out of here.
That happened before. And was that a football? Who was that? Tolos, help me out. Because I know there's a Tolo out there that can help me out.
So you're looking at it like it's a participation trophy.
Well, it's just like the moment of
Congratulations.
it.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Screw you. You lost. I'm not accepting this, it's weak, man.
Yeah.
There was a football coach somewhere that did that one time, and I'm blanking on who it was. smashed the trophy down. It was like a second place trophy. Just smashed it, man. Might have been a basketball coach. I don't even know, but I know it happened. I saw it on the internet, so I know it happened. Okay.
There was an Alabama coach that did it. Is that who you mean?
Might have been.
Yeah.
Was it a runner-up trophy?
It says here, I can't click on it because I don't want
spyware.
Spam. But no, it's a YouTube video, so I can't listen to what they're talking about here. But apparently,
I love that though, man. Like
Madcraft says, Miami is where titles were invented.
Oh, there he is. There he is, popping in. We appreciate you, man.
Looking into next season, though, Panthers now are the favorites to win next year's Stanley Cup at plus 900. I mean, what's going on in the South, man? All these trophies are coming down here. It's happening in football. It's happening in college baseball. It's happening in the NHL. You know, all of the power, all of the glory is coming to the Southeast.
Well, what, are you surprised?
No,
I mean, the best people, the best athletes, everything's better here, right? Everything's better in the South.
I do remember seeing once that like 9 out of 10 of the fastest growing cities in America have been in the Southeast since the invention and the mass circulation of air conditioning. Right?
Really?
I mean, like all the biggest cities were industrial cities up north. Now they're down south because nobody want to live here because it's so damn hot. Well, now you got AC. You're fine. You're fine. Everybody's moving down here. We got 35,000 new people in Greenville alone every year. Same for Charlotte. Same for Atlanta.
It's currently 94. Speaking of hot, how about that?
Badcraft says, I bet Cole would refuse a silver and bronze medal.
I mean, I don't like losing.
Shaq threw away a gold medal. Remember that story?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it was the 96 Olympics. He was mad because he wasn't on because he got benched. That's what it was. He got benched for David Robinson late in the in the title game. And he said, screw this. He said it's laying on the side of the road somewhere on I-85 somewhere.
Steven said, just FYI, at least half of Florida's teams are Canadian.
They're honorary Americans, Steven. If you're in America and you're winning titles for an American franchise, you're an honorary American.
Honorary. I like the word honorary. I like that. But you know what?
Florida, unless you're French, which means in that case, go to hell.
And listen, Florida, it's considered South geographically, but it's not really the South. You know, like nobody in Florida. I don't want to say nobody. There's a lot of people from.
I don't know. Do you
north.
See some of the stories and the Sunshine Laws stories that are coming out of the state of Florida? There's a lot of Southern going on down there.
There's a lot of people I think people move to Florida from everywhere. Literally, they welcome anybody.
Yeah.
All right. It is time to keep the news coming, get you updated on what happened last night, what's happening in the sports world. It's the Daily Wires next. We've got to get to the Daily Wires in a minute, but Diesel, I'm a little upset with you today. You did give me some bad news that, man, I don't know if it'll sit well with me. On this day, June 25th, 1984, one of the best songs freaking ever was released, and you told me you just weren't really a big fan. And I don't know if I can be down with that or not, because everybody loves Prince, right? Is there anybody that doesn't love Prince? And you said Purple Rain isn't your cup of tea.
It's overrated.
Overrated?
Overrated. When Doves Cry, better song. His cover of While My Guitar Gently Weeps, better song. Little Red Corvette, better song. Hell, the song that he wrote for Batman was a better song.
You think's better than Purple freaking Rain? There's nothing better, man. You
said Purple Rain's better than When Doves Cry?
Yeah. This is the best one he wrote. It's the best one.
God.
It is the best one.
Oh, my God.
Diesel, there is nothing better, man. There is nothing better. This is the best one ever by Prince on this day in 1984.
Look at that. Listen to that over reverb right there.
You don't think that was on purpose?
I'm sure it was.
You don't like it?
Doesn't mean it's great.
What else happened in 1984?
I was born in 1984.
So you are
the
literally
same age as this song.
You are the same age as Purple Rain.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me.
And it does nothing for you. I mean,
it's overrated. Everybody wants to sing. All the people who can't sing, who think they can sing,
like
all
me,
try to sing this song at karaoke.
It's because, there's only 2 lyrics. Nobody knows anybody else. Nobody knows any other part of the song except for Purple Rain, right?
Yeah, because it sounds like, hey, it sounds like an auctioneer.
A little auctioneer.
Yeah.
We wish we had a promo for that, by the way.
Yeah,
I like Purple
We should
Rain,
make one
man.
of those.
I'm a Prince fan. I'm a Purple Rain fan. I have to give a shout out there.
Tolos, the question, is Purple Rain Prince's best song?
Listen.
71307. Start your text with keyword fan.
It's got to be.
Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, on the stream. All we need is a simple yes or no.
My buddy Tony.
Is Purple Rain the best Prince song?
I don't know if my buddy Tony's listening or not, but Purple Rain's like his Tony. It's his favorite song. It's got to be the best Prince song ever, right? Let us know. As Diesel said also on the stream.
I'm a crass fan of Raspberry Beret.
I don't know what to do with y'all, man. I don't know what to do with you. All right, Daily Wires. It's what we do every single day to get you caught up on what's going on around the sports world. We call them the Daily Wires.
Buzz.
That's almost as good as Purple Rain.
Buzz.
Purple Rain. All right, as Diesel said in the very last segment, the Panthers defeated the Oilers 2-1 last night to win the 2024 NHL Stanley Cup. Tennessee last night won its first ever College World Series by defeating Texas A&M 6-5. A little bit of local news. Westside quarterback Cutter Woods has committed to Shane Beamer and South Carolina. He committed yesterday evening. The Braves now 8 games back. They did lose last night to the Cardinals 4-3. So 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
That's a Paul Abdul song.
2 steps forward.
Yeah.
I like Paul.
Opposites attract.
Yeah. What's Steven say?
Dances with a cartoon wolf in that video.
Stephen Webb says Prince is overrated. Jeez, man. Y'all are upsetting me. Y'all really are. Scotty from BMW says no. Agrees with you, Diesel, that Purple Rain's not the best Prince song. Tony did text me and say, heck yeah, by the way. So I've got 1 yes, 1 no. Actually 2 no's. Where was
Morris
I?
Day and the Time are better than Prince.
All right, moving on. Atlanta's back in action tonight in St. Louis, 7:45. It's a good night to take the Braves, Diesel. You got to feel good if Reynaldo Lopez is on the mound for the Braves, which he is. You feel good about their chances, right? So maybe take the Braves tonight. They bounce back win, lost last night, better team on paper. The NBA draft begins tomorrow, so we'll do a little bit of NBA draft talking tomorrow. I don't even know. You said yesterday the top 3 prospects are international. Is that right?
2 out of 3. Top prospect was out of France. Number 2 prospect out of Australia.
Wow.
Number 3 prospect out of Kentucky.
Oh, Australia, then Kentucky. Well, at least we got 1.
Yeah. If it was Florida, then you could call it another foreign country because you don't believe that Florida is really a part of America.
I do not believe it.
Just like Hawaii. You don't think Hawaii is in America
That's
either.
right. Not attached. CJ from Greer said he agrees with you, Diesel, when doves cry.
Boom.
Trey in Kentucky says Little Red Corvette.
I'm gonna tell you something that may disturb you, Cole. I've never seen Purple Rain the movie. And I'm a movie guy, right? I'm a movie guy, and I've
are.
never seen it. But I do know Morris Day and the Time. The only reason I know that is from Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, where they talk about Morris Day and the Time. And Morris Day and the Time was the band that appeared in Purple Rain.
Well, look at you. Still know about it. Also,
I'm aware, but I've never seen it.
A little bit of news. Chase Briscoe, little NASCAR news, will replace the retiring Martin Truex Jr. on the Joe Gibbs Racing Team, the 19 Toyota. Kristaps Porzingis confirmed he will miss the Olympics. He will not be on Steve Kerr's team in Paris because of his leg surgery. And then last but definitely not least, UFC lightweight Arman Saryukan was suspended for 9 months and fined by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for throwing a punch at a fan. The suspension, Diesel, is not expected to impact his eligibility to fight for a UFC fight or a UFC title later this year. Yeah. And then there was just the other day, Ryan Garcia, the boxer. Did you see that? We talked about it. Oh, it was one day when you were out back last month. Ryan Garcia, they said yesterday, has been banned for a year due to him failing his drug test.
So I got a couple thoughts on this Arman Saryukin. It sounds like Saryukin.
It's T-S-A-R-U-K-Y-A-N.
Saryukin.
So the T silent?
Saryukin. Yeah. I would assume so.
Saryukin.
Yeah, I got a problem with that because number one, why suspend him for 9 months if it's not going to affect his eligibility for a fight? Like, what's the point? What's the point in a 9-month suspension if you're not even expected to fight for a title in the next 9 months? It's stupid.
You're
right?
Suspending a guy for throwing a punch when his job is throwing a punch.
Yeah, apparently a fan threw a middle finger at him and he didn't like it, so he threw a punch at the fan. Number two, and this is a bigger problem that I have with UFC. There are too damn many of them.
Fighters?
No. The UFC events. What are we up to? Like number 310 or something like that?
I'm not a UFC
guy. I mean, I was listening to the Rob Brown show this morning, and I don't want to use this as a way to legitimize wrestling because to me, it's not a legitimate sport. But he was talking about WrestleMania 25 coming up. His words, not mine. I don't know if that's accurate. 25. But out of all this time, Cole, we've only had 25 WrestleManias.
No.
According to him. That's what I heard. That's what he said.
Really? That makes me, I find that hard to believe.
WrestleMania
25, that's it?
Maybe it means 2025. Okay. Maybe they stopped doing the number of years that they've done a WrestleMania, and now it's WrestleMania for the year 2025.
Next year. Okay, gotcha.
So regardless, how many WrestleManias have there been? Probably what? 50? If you've done one per year since the 70s, when wrestling really got big, and somebody can text in and let us know. But they've done this many. We're up to like 300 UFCs. People can't keep track. There's too many of them.
Too much money to go,
too many
to go
of
around.
Stop calling it UFC 305, 306, 307 when you're going to do one every 2 months.
Real quick, Jacob in Spartanburg says, I'm going to stick with Van Halen. I'm listening to 80s music. Our Diesel would like that. Let's see. Texter says, listen to the live version of
There's been 40 WrestleManias.
Okay. Texter says, listen to the live version of When My Guitar Gently Weeps featuring Prince. He rips that solo to shreds. I hadn't heard that.
He's a hell of a guitar player. Prince is extremely talented. I'm just not that into it. When we come back, Cole, there's a highly prominent NFL coach who is fed up with dealing with his owner. You guys want to guess who it is? You Tolos want to text in 71307 and take a wild guess. Which NFL coach is fed up with his owner? We'll get to that next here on the Fan Upstate. Mike McCarthy is fed up with Jerry Jones.
Oh, says who?
Says an ex-Cowboys personnel man who did an interview with CBS Sports. When did you find time to do an interview with CBS Sports, Cole?
Made time the other night. I mean, every now and then I can get out.
You just so happen to be an ex-Cowboys employee.
Yeah.
Quote, talking about Mike McCarthy here. He's done the best he can. Some of the people I've talked to have said that he's getting fed up with it a little bit. You don't say. You don't say. Mike McCarthy has had enough of Jerry Jones crap. Now, I realize that I am taking my job in my hands right now because our boss just down the hall is a Cowboys fan. And I don't want to upset him.
That's okay.
I don't care about upsetting you, Cole.
Yeah.
I just care about upsetting him. He's the one who actually has to sign off on the paychecks. He has to prove all the talent that we get for all the times that we go out and do things. But I mean, you know, if he would try to hold against me the cold hard facts of what the Dallas Cowboys are as a franchise, well, I think that says more about him. Mike McCarthy entering his 5th and final, possibly, season in Dallas. It's at least the final year of his contract in Dallas, Cole. And usually by now, we would have an extension in place, right? Like we would know by year 3 going into year 4 or year 4 going into year 5, we would know if a coach was going to be extended or not.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, it happened for Brent Venables after only 2 years and a 16-10 record. But Mike McCarthy, as of right now, does not have a contract to continue on as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He's going into his final year. And he's just had enough. So I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of gentleman's agreement between Jerry and Mike to say, I'm going to let you ride off into the sunset after this year. And Mike saying, why wait? Just go ahead and shoot me in the back now.
You know, here's where I go with this. And listen, me being a Cowboys fan, I could talk about this for another 2 hours. But the first initial comment that I would have on this topic, Diesel, is Jerry Jones is up there, right? And I mean like up there, close to being
up his own,
up there or down there, right? Really close. In age, old, almost dead. So he's up there. Jerry is. Jerry knows that his time as owner of the Cowboys, he's on the back 9,
and
right?
as a living, breathing human.
That's right. So here's where I go with this. I do think that Jerry used to really be successful by being wild card Jerry. Like back in the 90s, early 2000s, that's what he was known as, was wild card Jerry.
Wait, but does his success in the early 90s really come from anything he did, or does it come from a holdover of what was there before he bought the team?
No, he made a lot of moves in the 90s. A lot of moves. And listen, I'm not a Jerry fan, but I give Jerry a lot of credit for what happened in the 90s. Now, back to my point. He is no longer wild card Jerry.
Yeah.
So my worry is that he's on the back 9. He's on the way out, and he realizes that, you know what? He hasn't gotten it done. He didn't win a Super Bowl with Tony Romo, is not going to win one with Dak Prescott. And he realizes that it's now or never for him. And Diesel, I wonder if Jerry Jones sees Bill Belichick looming in free agency and thinks to himself, Mike's not getting it done. Mike has fallen short in the postseason. If Mike, this final year, falls on his face again, Diesel, do I pick up the phone and do I call Bill and do I make one last run at it?
Look, I've never, ever cheered for the Dallas Cowboys. And I liked a lot of the players. I really liked Troy Aikman. I really liked, the teams of the 90s. But I can't like the team. Sorry. But I now at this point, if that's what you're putting out there into the world, I want Mike McCarthy to go and win it, just so that Jerry doesn't get his way.
Well, here's the
Bill
deal.
Belichick.
I don't know that it would happen. I'm just thinking, Jerry, one last grab at the straws, right? Could it happen? He's out there. He couldn't can McCarthy last year after winning 12. Listen, McCarthy's gone 12-5 3 years in a row.
Coach.
He's a very good coach. Has he gotten it done in the playoffs? No. So that's where my issue comes in.
I would say he's winning 12 games a year in spite of Jerry Jones and all the stupid moves that he's made. I'm talking about that huge deal that he gave to Zeke, the huge deal that he gave to Dak. the horrible contract situations and that Jerry Jones has created. I mean, for somebody who's supposed to have all this business acumen, he makes some dumbass business moves.
Well, Jerry is a part of the problem. I don't think he is the entire problem. And you and I have talked about this before. No, he's not. Because listen, I've said this before to Rob Brown. We were having this conversation at Dave & Buster's. When the Dallas Cowboys defense in the playoffs in the wild card round against Green Bay gave up 463 yards, that's not Jerry Jones' fault, right? They had an elite defense the past 2 years. When Dak Prescott throws 3 interceptions against San Francisco to choke 2 years ago, that's not Jerry's fault.
Well,
so,
individual games and performances therein, are not Jerry Jones' fault. But I would be willing to say that since he bought the team in 1989, going 312 and 251 for a 55% win percentage, that is Jerry Jones' fault. He is the guy who's been there stewarding this thing the whole time. One game over 500 in the playoffs, 16 and 15, haven't won a division title in 28 years. That is Jerry Jones' fault. He fired Tom Landry, who's the namesake of Bobby Hill's middle school there in Arlen, Texas.
Listen, I hear you. My only pushback would be this. Dallas has had really, really talented teams. Like super Tony Romo, Des Bryant, DeMarco Murray in 2017 when Des dropped it in Green Bay and they called it incomplete. That was one of the most talented teams they've ever had. Dak Prescott as a rookie with Zeke in 2016. That was 2015. I'm talking about with Des and Romo. And then 2016, Dak and the rookies, one of the most talented teams I've ever seen. So, again, to your point, I don't put all the blame on Jerry. I do put some blame on Jerry for the contracts, Dak, Zeke, stuff like that.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, no, I do put that on Jerry. But at the end of the day, he has had Jason Garrett's had talented teams. Mike McCarthy's had talented teams. Dak Prescott losing to Brock Purdy twice in 4 years to end the season, that's a Dak Prescott problem, in my opinion, and not a Jerry Jones problem.
For what it's worth, Bill Parcells said that he did enjoy working for Jerry Jones, and this is obviously after he had worked for Robert Kraft. Said he learned a lot about the business side of the game, and it just didn't necessarily help. I just want to say here, Cole, if you or someone you know suffers from owner suck, call our helpline at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. We have counselors standing by to lend a kind ear or offer up harsh and hilarious ways to kick your friends while they're down.
Can I ask a question, though, real quick before we move on?
Yeah.
Would you rather have an owner who keeps your team relevant, like Jerry, like the Cowboys, but doesn't win at all, or would you rather have an owner like David Tepper that doesn't even keep you relevant? Seriously, that's a good question.
Well, you could say that getting in the news from throwing drinks on people and taking hats off
that's
of
not relevant.
Restaurant employees is a form of relevancy.
Why do I?
It's not a good form of relevancy, but it is. It is. I mean, hey, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. Being better than 500, which again, I know you're looking at the Mike McCarthy era and the 12-win seasons that Mike McCarthy has given him. But if you subtract that, and if you subtract the 3 years that Jimmy Johnson was there, Cole, you're sub 500.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
trust me.
they're just barely over 500 as it is with those two really good coaches and their tenure there. All I'm trying to tell you is, you can't miss the forest for the trees. You can't think only about the last 2 or 3 seasons and say, well, hasn't he done a great job for the last 35 years?
It's a double-edged sword. It really is. I, as a diehard Cowboys fan who's been a Cowboys fan my whole life, it's tough for me because I'm a fan, but I also I see it a little bit realistic as well. Scotty from BMW says, Cole, good job on all the plugs. You can text the show 71307. Dale wants to chime in on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FAN-PHONE. What's up, Dale?
Yes, is this the owner suck hotline?
It is.
It is.
Jerry Jones, man. Cole, what are we going to do, man? What are we going to do?
Well, somebody can cut his brake lines. There's one good way to deal with it.
He's just getting his jet.
No,
Change out his heart medication pills for some Red Hots.
2 years ago when he was drafted on that yacht, why didn't someone just drill a hole in the bottom of that thing like they did on that one Liam Neeson movie?
Could you not get out in front of him and throw an iceberg in his path? Anything like that?
Man, it's been, I mean, Bill Parcells was like barely over 500. Jason Garrett was a 500 coach. I mean, it's been mediocrity. And Mike McCarthy, the same thing. I wasn't, the hire with McCarthy was I wasn't too happy. We needed a defensive coach because the defense has been the problem. We let Dan Quinn go. We did nothing in free agency. We didn't even call Derrick Henry. Why did we not call Derrick Henry?
I know. I agree with that. Dale, what do you think about my opinion, hypothesis, idea that maybe they haven't signed McCarthy because they're holding out on Bill?
I don't want Bill.
What do you want?
It would be just like Jerry Jones to want a guy that nobody else wants because he thinks he's right.
And that's what's so sad about it. Do I think Belichick is going to be the one that comes in there next year? Yes, probably, because everybody is on a one-year deal. The OC is on a one-year deal. The DC is on a one-year deal. Everybody, it's going to be a wholesale change. And what do I think is going to happen? Jerry's going to be like, oh, yeah, Bill, you got 6 rings? Yeah, let's go ahead and do this thing. And, hey, can you also get me a hold of the Robert Kraft connection? I'm telling you, it's all going to be bad.
So Dale is all nose.
He just wants
Bill.
the address of the massage parlor that Robert Kraft was at.
I don't know, man. Like,
That's what Jerry's looking for.
If you have a good OC, guys, if you have a good OC, I think Bill's still a good coach. Are we just going to throw Bill to the curb? I don't know.
No, Bill, I think Bill, and thank you for the call, Dale. We appreciate you calling in to the Owner Suck hotline. Appreciate you. I'm surprised we hadn't got a call from Madcraft because his team's owner isn't very good either.
Madcraft doesn't know how to use a phone. Madcraft's never called into the show.
Dean Spanos, owner of the Chargers. And by the way, I looked up a list of the worst owners in sports. Jerry Jones is in the top 10. He's listed in the top 10, even though you love him, Cole. You defend him.
No.
He's on the list, though. It's not a good place to be. So I want you to realize, Cole, what company Jerry Jones is in, what company he's considered to be in. So I'm going to go through the list. Not an exhaustive list. We're just going to go through some of the big ones. How about Dean Spanos, owner of the Chargers? He relocated the team from San Diego to L.A. He had him playing in a soccer stadium that holds 27,000 people while the stadium was being built. He gave up a team with a vibrant fan base, and he took it to L.A. to a neutered environment, and nobody there is excited about the Chargers. I mean, as soon as Dean Spanos sells that team, it's moving right back to San Diego. That will happen.
I haven't looked at the list yet, but I'm going to make a bold prediction. As you go down the list, bold. I might regret saying this, but I'm going to take Jerry over everybody on the list.
Really? How about Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Browns? He took control of the team 7 games into 2012. He under his leadership, they went 1-31 in 2016 and 2017. His company, Pilot Flying J, which I grew up driving past the one up there in Cherokee County, I think, in Spartanburg County. They were under investigation for fraud, had to pay out $92 million to customers, signed off on the trade that brought Deshaun Watson to Cleveland.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he sucks
Terrible
too.
trade.
Right?
Oh, no, he sucks.
He sucks.
He sucks.
Artie Moreno, owner of the Angels. He let Shohei get away. He squandered Mike Trout. He put the team up for sale in 2012 and then backed out and took him off the market. So Angel fans were almost rid of this guy. And then he said, no, I want to torture you some more.
Yeah, pretty bad.
On the list also, David Tepper, owner of the Carolina Panthers.
Surely not old Dave.
I mean, the first 3 words of their assessment, Cole, should say everything you need to hear. Dan Snyder 2.0. Bought the team in 2018.
God, that bad?
They haven't earned a playoff appearance since he bought the team.
Oh.
They've gone through 7 head coaches. Reports are that he creates a toxic work environment. He was fined $300,000 for throwing a drink on a fan.
That is rough.
He walked into a restaurant and pulled the hat off of an employee because he didn't like the sign out front that employee had nothing to do with, by the way. James Dolan, old Jimmy D.
Mm-hmm.
He's a better musician than he is an owner. Have you ever looked up Jimmy Dolan's band,
No.
JD and the Straight Shot? They're not bad, actually. But, of course, he is the singer and the front man of the band because James Dolan can't stand in the background. He's got to be a front man. But he bought the Knicks in 99. He's found himself in spats with Charles Oakley. He's been accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault. Like, I'm convinced that these guys, Cole, they have some sort of annual meetings, call it an a-hole assembly to think up ways to screw their fans, because there is no way that the Avengers would allow this many supervillains to operate in this country at any given time.
So I go back to my bold prediction, and I stand beside it. I stick with it, Diesel. I would listen, I'm not saying I'm a Jerry guy, but I would take Jerry Jones over every single owner that you just named. I'll tell you why. This is not a loser's mentality, but as bad as they've been in what you said at 20, how old am I? I mean, in almost 3 decades, they haven't won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Jerry, in my opinion, Diesel only cares about keeping the team relevant, making millions, and keeping them relevant. Really. Because as long as they're relevant,
he cares about fat stacks.
Well, they're going to listen. I mean, you turn on ESPN during football season. What are they talking about?
At the very least, Cole, Jerry Jones has not embarrassed this franchise in the way that these other owners have. Right? Now, Madcraft texts in and says, Spanos is trash, but he got me Harbaugh. So he's feeling pretty good about that.
Have you heard the Jerry Delta flight attendant story?
No.
So this was when I was living in Dallas just a few years ago. Jerry Jones, it came out. You may remember when the news came out. The news came out that Jerry Jones had a daughter that nobody knew about.
Really?
Not the daughter that works in the organization. There's another daughter who's my age. Well, after the Super Bowl win in 96.
And you didn't ask her out?
Well, if I would have seen her, I would have trusted her.
Yeah, doesn't matter what she looks like. She's Jerry Jones' daughter. Ask her out. Marry that.
She was suing Dad, Jerry, because the money ran out. So basically, the long story short, no joke. Listen, Jerry paid mom and daughter to keep quiet. Okay. Jerry found out that the money's eventually, I guess the money ran out. So daughter's now suing Jerry. This was like 3 years ago. The mom was a flight attendant on a plane that Jerry flew back on after winning the Super Bowl. So Jerry got a little Super Bowl, you know what, and
Hawk
Tua, and the 27 years later, his daughter ran out of money and needs money. And the daughter is not his wife's daughter. It's the flight attendant's daughter at Delta.
Oh, Jerry.
Yeah. So
naughty Jerry.
No surprise there, but he hadn't done anything to embarrass the organization other than not winning a Super Bowl, right?
Madcraft says someone floated the idea of rebranding to the SoCal Chargers. Mad, just move back to San Diego. That's it. That's all this team needs to do to rebuild its goodwill, right? Move back to San Diego.
Man, that's tough.
San Diego loved the Chargers.
No, they did. It's tough, though, because LA's like, I'm not saying I'm sold on LA Chargers and sold on LA, but I don't hate it as much as people think. LA's a booming place, man. Like, I get why they did it, right? I really do. Diesel, I want to get to this. Coming up in the very next segment, EA Sports released today their top 10 toughest places to play in college football. You and I will go through this trash list and examine the list and tell our listeners whether we love or hate each listed stadium. We'll also let you tell us where they were right and where they were wrong. Next on Wire to Wire. I can't wait, Diesel, to hear whether or not you tell me I'm wrong on this. And no, this is not the 5 o'clock fight. That's 30 minutes from now. But College Football 25, EA Sports, earlier today released their top 10 toughest places to play in America. Okay? Real intimidating, real scary places that you don't go at night without protection, right? So I have an issue with this list. I'm going to go down. I'm going to start at 10, go all the way down to 1 by 1. And I want to know if you and I love it or hate it, 10 to 1. Little teaser to you, Tolos, to you listening. By the way, you can text the show 71307, keyword fan. Listen carefully as I go down this list and stop me when you hear a Palmetto State Stadium. All right, Deals, are you ready? Top 10 toughest places to play. 10 on the list in the SEC, in the Sunshine State, in Gainesville. EA Sports says Florida is the 10th toughest place to play in college football. Initial reaction, love it or hate it?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I mean, I've been to a game at Florida before. It was an early game.
Okay.
Wasn't super intimidating, but I haven't been to a rivalry game at Florida before. But hey, I mean, how intimidating can it be, Cole, if they're reducing their seating? They dropped the seating from
that's trash.
They dropped the seating by 8,000 or 9,000 seats. But then again, I do give Florida some credit here. Number one, we all know that people aren't buying tickets the way that they used to and coming in droves and packing out stadiums the way that they used to. But we all know how stadiums used to be built, right? Where you had about 6 inches to somehow squeeze an 18-inch ass into that seat.
Neyland Stadium.
So,
Perfect example.
I mean, they are – at least they've decided, you know what, let's prioritize some comfort here just a little bit. It's not the way modern stadiums are built with nice, cushy stadium chairs, those old school metal bleachers. Hell, my school actually increased capacity, Cole, by just pulling up the stickers and moving them 3 inches closer to each other.
So I don't hate Florida.
I don't hate that being on the list.
Or, listen, there's an issue that I have with this. I don't hate Florida. Number 9, same state, Diesel, Doak Campbell Stadium. Florida State at 9. I have been to several games at Florida State, both day and night, and I will say I love it. Being in the top 10, It deserves to be there. It is one of the top 10 toughest, in my opinion, when they are good.
Yeah, I like that one. I do. I love, number one, they've got arguably the best entrance in college football anywhere. I mean,
I agree with that.
To me, it's 1A and 1B with the Trojan stabbing midfield at Southern Cal, but it is the 1A in that scenario because Chief Osceola coming out on the horse. What's the horse's name? There's a name for it. Blanking off the top of my head.
I speak horse.
Stabbing the flaming spear into the 50-yard line. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't get any better than
it is.
And just the synchronized war chant throughout the entire
And it's a
thing.
bowl, right? There's no upper deck. There's no lower deck. It's a bowl.
Old school.
It is old school. I like Doak Campbell. I have no issue with them being on the list. However, the issues are arising.
Renegade, by the way. It's Renegade.
Oh, is the horse's name?
Horse's name is Renegade.
I like that. These next few, I just can't say them. I cannot read them off this list. EA Sports, top 10 toughest places to play. Number 8 in the country, Gaylord Family, Oklahoma, Memorial Stadium, Brent Venables Stadium, number 8 toughest places to play in the country. Love it or hate it.
No, I don't like that one being on the
I
list.
don't either.
I don't. It's, the Sooner coming out, that's cool and all. Do we know, Cole, have they let us know, is that actually going to affect the game in some way?
What's that?
The video game. Is their list going to affect the video game? Meaning,
I'm sure
are they
going
to make are they going to make road games, if you're the road team playing at these stadiums, are they going to increase the noise level, the controller vibration, the psych out mode or whatever,
right?
Just a little bit more,
I would guess so.
For these 10 stadiums, are they going to turn it up to 11 on those on those meters?
So I'm not a huge fan of that one either. Let us know what you think on the text line 71307. Start your text with the word fan. It gets worse, Diesel. I don't know if you've seen this list, but it gets worse, buddy. Number 7, toughest places to play in the United States, Diesel. Camp Randall Stadium, Wisconsin.
Huh?
What a joke!
Because it's worked out for their home schedule so much over the years, right?
Wisconsin.
I'm not saying that it's not a cool environment. It is.
But top 10?
But top 10, that's absurd.
That's awful,
That's
man.
absolutely absurd. I was going to go to a game at Wisconsin once, and it was 2020. App State was supposed to play at Wisconsin. I was going to go, and then it got canceled due to COVID, and they never rescheduled the game.
So, again, to recap, EA Sports has Ben Hill Griffin Stadium 10, Doak Campbell 9, Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium 8. Too many words there, by the way. Camp Randall Stadium, terrible name, 7, Wisconsin. I don't love that either. Since when have we ever thought, Diesel, man, this team's got to go play. This one's going to be tough. They got to go to Wisconsin at 3:30. They're going to freeze to death. I mean, what are they going? Why is it tough? Because it's frozen? Is that why? Because it's 4 degrees.
Jump around. I mean, that's that's a fun thing, right? That's not intimidating. That's the fun thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make it tough.
Yeah, play some Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, it's like
start
baseball,
headbanging.
right?
Start headbanging to Obituary in unison as a fan base. That would intimidate me. Not Jump Around from House of Pain, which is basically a classic rock song now.
Jump around. I'm not impressed with the list as of yet, Diesel. Let's see if this thing gets any better. Bad news, though. We may disagree here. Number 6, Beaver Stadium, Penn State. I say weak being at 6. Top 10, I don't have a problem with. They have one whiteout per year that's really awesome. But other than that, when has Penn State been a tough place to play?
Good. I'm good with it being in the top 10, yeah. But it's not intimidating because it's a weird looking stadium, right? Have you ever looked at the architecture of the place? Like the sidelines are little and the end zones are massive. It's like, come on, guys, turn the stadium.
I hadn't seen it.
Just pivot.
What are you talking about? I don't look at it now.
Yeah, the end zone sections are massive at Beaver Stadium.
Hold on, I got to look now.
I think it's an intimidating place to play. Being at number 6, you said, or was it number 5?
It is number 6.
I ain't down with that.
I'm looking at it now. It's weird. It's weirdly shaped. You meant
I would go in there and I would just feel drunk. I mean, I know a lot of people go in there and get drunk, but I would go there and feel drunk because that's like this stadium's pointed the wrong direction.
You're saying the end zones are bigger than the main stands.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah, I do see that. It makes sense a little bit now. Beaver Stadium, also a terrible name. We need to rank the stadium names after this because this list is trash. But
I do want to go to a game there though. That's on my bucket list.
Well, go to the whiteout game. That's the only game they need to go to. They do it once a year. The whiteout. I have a friend that went there, and it was supposedly incredible, right? Life changing. But all right, that's number 6. EA Sports top 10 toughest places to play. I had big issue with 6 through 10, not so much with 1 through 5. Diesel. Sanford Stadium comes in at number 5, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, it's not the biggest stadium on the list. What's Sanford Stadium in the low 80s capacity wise?
Sounds right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest stadium. It's big. It's very, very big.
Personally, I would have it a little higher.
Yeah,
I'd have a little higher. Yeah. No, it's a tough. Listen, the fans are a-holes. That makes it one thing, right? It's a tough place to play because you have
look at this text. Texter says, from a man who married a badger, Camp Randall is a joke.
Thank you, Texter. We agree with you.
Sanford Stadium capacity is 92,000.
Ooh, that's bigger than
92,000. Bigger than I thought. But you're right. It's not high. It's not up there. When you're down on the field, and I've been on the field in that stadium, it doesn't feel like everything's right on top of you.
I personally would have it probably 4 instead of 5. However, EA Sports says no, not us. Number 4, Diesel, on this wonderful, terrible list. Oxymoron. Ohio Stadium. Ohio State Buckeyes at number 4. Love it or hate it?
I love it. I love everything about that stadium. I love the way that it's built. I love that it's a horseshoe. I love that the end zone sections are not connected. I love that they haven't felt the pressure to undo the horseshoe. It's great. I really do.
I like it as well. I like it being 4 on the list. It is a tough place to play. It looks huge, right? When they show it on TV, I don't know if it's bigger than Sanford Stadium or not, but Ohio Stadium as they call it, I agree with you. I like the horseshoe, but it just looks massive. I guess it would be even bigger if they just completed the bowl and didn't have the horseshoe, but I don't have a problem with the horseshoe. I do like them.
I think it's unique, and I think it's special.
It is. I do like that at 4, though. I think Ohio State being at 4 is a good place. Taiga Stadium, Diesel. Taiga Stadium at number 3, otherwise known as Death Valley. Any issue with Death Valley Tiger Stadium of the LSU Tigers being at number 3?
That place is rickety. Have you ever been in there?
I have one time.
It is rickety. It's a weird stadium. You know, you go in, you enter into a gate near your section, and you can only go into that section. Like, there is no traveling around that stadium. You go in, and you are immediately covered up by all this aluminum over your head. Like, it's a really odd stadium to be in.
I don't have issue there. LSU's not as good as they were a few years ago, but it's still a tough place to play.
A texter called it. He said, recently Troy beat LSU at night in Death Valley. That's true. 2017, wow. Troy 24, LSU 21.
Jeez.
Ed Orgeron was the coach.
Ed Orgeron. You said he was the coach.
Oh, Kojo.
He would have coached down there when they Tiger Stadium at 3. I like it. You may be surprised by this one, Diesel. Number 2, I do not like Bryant-Denny Stadium, second toughest place to play in college football, according to EA Sports.
I mean, I'm good with it being in the top 5. Is your problem that it's not number 1?
No. I think it should be lower. I just don't know that it's so. I'll tell you this. I have a lot of friends who are Alabama fans. I heard that during the Saban run, it was a fun environment. It was a fun place to go watch a game, but there was nothing intimidating about it.
Nothing edgy about it.
You know, what do you do when you win? When you win 1,000,000 games, you sit back, you have your wine and your cheese, you know. I was told by a former player that it's not as intimidating as people think.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's big, it's loud, there's a lot of people there, sure. But, you know, if what you're telling me is there's no edge to the Alabama fan base right now, and we need our resident Alabama fan.
Who's that?
Tommy Springer.
Oh,
we need Bama Springer to call in and let us know. Bama Springer, what's going on down there at Bryant-Denny?
EA has it too.
You guys lost your edge?
I just think, you know, sometimes fan bases kind of get complacent, right? You expect to win all the time. Number 1, Diesel?
Toughest place to play in America.
Have you seen the list?
I have not seen the list.
Okay, guess then since you haven't seen it. Numero 1, Diesel. What's your guess?
I'm not. Well, if you're saying that Bryant-Denny's not there because it's a wine and cheese crowd, it ain't going to be Clemson because they sing Kumbaya and give hugs to the opposing fan base before they leave.
Mm-hmm.
Who else could it be?
Is
it a team in the SEC?
Yes, it is.
It's not South Carolina because they don't show up if it's below 60 degrees. It's too cold down there in Columbia for them.
It is Kyle Field, Texas A&M, or the 12th man. Toughest place to play.
You lock arms, you sway side to side, you listen to a sweaty Kendall tell bad jokes. That's the most intimidating place in America.
What do you think? Love it or hate it?
Hate it. Hate it. That should be. Who is number 10? Let's just flip-flop them right now.
On this list?
Yeah, who's 10?
Un momento, por favor.
All right, you already closed it.
No, I got it right here. Florida? What's 10?
I think Florida's more intimidating than Texas A&M.
You think
so?
They
didn't put Neyland Stadium on the list.
So here's where I have issues.
Oh, come on.
And I'm glad you said that.
The Big House, I've been to the Big House. It's not an intimidating place. So it doesn't deserve to be on the list.
So here's the question. Before we run to break in just a few minutes, right? We can still have a few more minutes. You, Diesel, you, the listeners, the Tolos, tell us who they left off the list. Who should be in the top 10? 71307. Start your text with the word fan. The phone lines are open as well. 844-FAN-PHONE. Diesel, I have a couple that I think they left off. Toughest places to play. Neyland Stadium, for me, has to be on the list.
Yeah.
Neyland Stadium, they crowd people in Neyland Stadium like sardines. There is no room. You have no leg space.
Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium on the front end, ugly AF on the back end.
If you're a man and you're sitting there, most men, Diesel, don't like sitting with their legs tight because it's uncomfortable on the old the jewels, the family jewels. Well, there's none of that. There's no leg
on the
spreading.
Rockies and the tops.
That's right. No leg spreading in Neyland. They fit a million people there, and that's what makes it so tough to play. Neyland should be on the list.
They throw stuff on the field when they don't get their way.
Yeah. Clemson, in my opinion, should also be on the list, top 10. I'm not
10?
saying listen, it's
not
hard.
Intimidating.
Well,
it's not intimidating
at night. At night. I think it's a tougher place to play at night than it is in the daytime.
I think what, Cole, you're guilty here. You're thinking of the best environment they've got versus the week in and week out environment. A lot of these other schools that are on the top 10, not all of them. I'm taking Wisconsin off that list. I'm taking a couple more off that list. But week in and week out, I would put LSU as the most intimidating place to play.
And I don't have an issue with that.
Because those Cajuns go out and get absolutely hammered at like 7 a.m. and they are ready to throw down all day long, all season long, right? I mean, it's an ornery bunch when you got to go out there in the 117-degree heat and watch your Tigers play.
No, I don't have an issue with that. I just think that when you look at teams like or places like Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, Camp Randall, Wisconsin, Penn State, and even a place like Bryant-Denny. Diesel, maybe I'm being biased, but Death Valley, Clemson Stadium, it's not like when those fans are loud, man, it, in my opinion, it is a tough place to. I'm not saying it deserves to be in the top 5. I just think it should be top 10. And I would probably put it somewhere between 8 and 10, but I think Clemson does deserve to be in the top 10 of toughest places to play.
I would put Clemson on a good day, 12, on a normal day, on a regular ACC game that's not North Carolina. I mean, or Florida State, they're probably like 19, 18,
that low?
18, 19.
No way.
Yeah.
See, I don't agree with that. Texter says, Memphis, because your car might not be there when you go to leave. That comes from the 432. Good texter. Didn't put your name, but good text. I like that. It's true.
Trey Davis says Texas A&M is known for the 12th man in college. Yeah. What about that is intimidating, Trey?
Well, you talking about A&M?
Yeah.
I think it's one of the louder places to play, right? I'm good with A&M being in the top 10. I'm just not sold on A&M being number 1. But toughest places to play, like that includes noise and how loud it is, right?
If it's A&M hosting Texas, yeah, okay, I'm with you. It's right up there, the best of the best. But when it's A&M hosting Kentucky, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I just think like you can say, well, with any team, if it's a noon game compared to a night game, right, it's going to be better. I mean, even in Baton Rouge, it's hard to say, well, if it's a night game, obviously it's a tougher place to play. Well,
I went to a 10 a.m. game at LSU once.
Wow.
10 a.m.
That's rough.
It's supposed to be a night game, but it was a 10 a.m. game.
Texter from the 499 says, as a Tiger, I'll say we have lost the edge because of less night games and everybody being late to get back from halftime. No, I agree.
One of the few stadiums that lets you leave at halftime.
What's that?
Clemson.
You can't leave?
They do let you leave. They let you leave and come back in.
Oh, you're saying
most stadiums don't. Most stadiums don't allow that. They have no reentry policies.
Yeah.
Look, with the huge expansion of streaming and the fact that every game can be on television and the fact that streaming is easier than it's ever been, I don't understand why teams still allow ESPN to tell them when to kick off if they're not on a linear network. I mean, if you're playing on ABC or if you're on ESPN 1 or 2, that's fine. ESPN can dictate when they want your game to be on that network to fill out their day. But if you're talking about, if it's Clemson, Syracuse, right? That's not going to be a primetime game. It's not going to be shown on a linear network. Then you should have the right to choose when you play those games.
So let me ask you this. If we were to change this list to all night games, toughest places to play at night, Okay, A&M at night, LSU at night, Bama at night, Clemson at night. Would Clemson at night be in top 10 for you?
Yeah, I would put it there at night, depending on the opponent.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, I don't remember if I was at this game or not, working this game or not, but it was the Lamar Jackson Louisville game.
I was there.
That was nuts. That was really, really nuts. And like I said, I can't remember if I was working that game or if I just remember watching it on TV. Because I know that I've seen the entrance on YouTube videos a bunch of times.
So that was a good one as far as toughest places to play. Real quick, I'll give you two more. The night that Jameis came in and whooped Clemson, I was there. That was loud for the first half. Halftime, Clemson fans were gone because Jameis was still running on the field untouched. Second one was the Notre Dame Hurricane game. I was also there for that.
I was at that game.
That was awful. I mean, it was tough because of the weather, not because of anything else. And Texter says, can we talk about the top 10 toughest NFL stadiums tomorrow? Says Eric, Eagles. Eric, you better be glad I even read your text from Philadelphia.
Well,
are you kidding me?
We have you on tape, Cole, saying that if Dallas doesn't win it this year, you're gonna give up and become an Eagles fan.
Thanks,
we have that. Yeah. South Carolina Gamecock fans, you got a big recruit over the past couple of 24 hours.
Yeah.
Cutter Woods from Westside High School has committed to South Carolina, and we had about 5 minutes to talk with Cutter Woods a little bit earlier today. We're going to bring you that conversation next, right here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
It is Wire to Wire, a Tuesday edition right here on the Fan Upstate 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, and anywhere in the world on the free Odyssey app. We encourage you to find us there as well as we bring on senior quarterback for the West Side Rams right here in the Upstate. He made some news last night. He is Cutter Woods. Cutter, last night you committed to South Carolina. We'll start with that. Let's talk about what went into that decision for you, man.
We had a visit this weekend and just had to take everything into consideration. And me and my family kind of made a decision based off of that. And we feel good about it, so we're excited.
Cutter Woods, West Side Rams quarterback, joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. You heard it, just committed to South Carolina. Cutter, what does the word commitment mean to you? We hear a lot of guys committing to schools and then backing out, going somewhere else, committing to 2 or 3 places before it's all said and done. So what does it actually mean to you?
Yeah, I was committed previously, and I put to Carolina. I would say, committing is a business deal that you seal off with a business. And then obviously, the recruiting world, it gets crazy, and you can't really have no feelings in it. So, you're fully committed to a school, and then obviously if something else comes along, you have to take consideration because it's your future.
It's a good answer. I like that, Cutter. What was it about South Carolina? What was it about Shane Beamer that led you and your family to make that decision?
Just great people down there. We're obviously impressed with, hospitality and all that, but we're just impressed with the people they had down there and really enjoyed them.
Cutter, how excited are you? I know it's still a ways away, but how excited are you with the prospect of competing against a guy like Lenora Sellers, who's got some proving to do on his own, right? He's a first-year quarterback there at South Carolina. Once you get there, you may have the opportunity to steal the job away from him.
I'm excited to compete with whoever. I know Lenore's a great guy, and I'm excited just to be able to play for my home state.
Cutter, what was it? South Carolina obviously is where you've committed, but do you feel like last year when you guys at Westside won the state championship, do you feel like that was a point in your career where you started to get more attention from colleges, or when would you say you started to get on the radar of South Carolina?
I would say maybe last camp when I went to summer, or went to their summer camp like a year ago. But I was just being in state for a while and have a great head coach like Coach Lane. You got to be on the radar kind of regardless.
For sure. Absolutely.
Cutter, what was the conversation, or what were the conversations like with South Carolina? Was it, here's what we can do for you, or here's how we can make you better?
Here's how we can make you better, and here's how you can help this program, and we see you fitting in with our offense one day. So obviously that's a guarantee, but hearing them with a vision for me and vision for their offense is obviously makes me want to work harder and go there and work.
What do you feel like, Cutter, you still have to improve on before you get to the college level?
Everything can always be improved on. Definitely athleticism, but anything and everything. Just work at everything and see what happens from there.
Cutter, tell us about what you see for your final season here at Westside High School. How's the schedule looking for you? Are you feeling confident in your ability to go back and repeat?
I definitely feel confident in our team and our head coach Lane. I feel like we can definitely get it done again.
Cutter, we appreciate you, man. We'll have you on again soon, and we'll be following you this fall as well, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Man, a few words. Cutter Woods, quarterback, Westside High School, your brand new South Carolina Gamecock commit. He's a phenomenal high school quarterback, and I think you Gamecock fans ought to be real excited to have him down in Columbia. You just hope that recruitment sticks. You hope that commitment sticks. When we come back, it is time for you and I to stick and jab at each other, Cole. We call it the 5 o'clock fight. We have 3 different topics to fight about. We go toe-to-toe, and you, the Tolos, tell us who's right and who's wrong each round of the 5 o'clock fight. That's next.
have a challenge, Diesel. I have a challenge for the Tolos in this segment. I have not done this yet, but I want to put up a challenge today. We've had a good amount of interaction in the show today on the stream, text line, a lot of text, a lot of messages. And here's where my challenge comes in. The 5 o'clock fight's the most interactive segment on this show. I'd argue on the station.
On this planet.
It is interactive 2.0. My challenge today, though, let's break a record. Tolos, listeners, you driving down the road, hopefully not 85, but let's break a record today. Get those fingers ready. Let's have more texts come in, more messages today for this 5 o'clock fight than we've ever had so that we can't even get to them all. We have to do, 2 segments of 5 o'clock fight. That's what I want. That's what I challenge you to do today. So get those texter fingers ready. 71307. It's time for the 5 o'clock fight.
It's an all-out slugfest, and nobody's leaving unscathed. 3 topics, 1 winner. It's the 5 o'clock fight on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
If this is your first time tuning into Wire to Wire, well, number one, we appreciate you. Appreciate the heck out of you for doing so. The 5 o'clock fight, as Diesel teased earlier, every single day at 5 o'clock, there are 3 rounds, 3 topics. Diesel and I must disagree on each topic. You, the Tolo, you decide who wins and who loses. You can text the show 71307. Start your text with the word fan. We're also live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Get in the chat there. Let's have a good one today. It's time for Round 1 Fight. All right, Diesel. I like this one. This one might ruffle a feather or 2. If a recruit gets your school's name wrong in a tweet, does it bother you? For example, if a recruit says University of Clemson, would that bother you as a fan, yes or no?
Hell yeah, it bothers me. Number one, how many pieces of paper do you have in your bedroom right now that say Clemson University on it or the University of South Carolina on it? You've been seeing these things in your mailbox, in your text messages, in your emails constantly over the past couple of months or even years, and you still got it wrong. That right there, Cole, shows me that you don't pay attention to details. That right there tells me I'm not sure that I want you on my campus. As the kids say, that's a red flag.
Really?
It's a red flag. Is it not? I mean, you probably seen a recruit tweet really excited to announce my commitment to the University of Clemson. It's happened. I know it's happened.
I know it has happened too. South Carolina University, right? It's happened. I get it. By the way, JD says, Cole, don't even speak. Diesel's already won. That would be a red flag. I give kids, we're talking about 16, 17-year-old kids who may or may not have passed English class last semester. Are they
kids or are they adults? They can get NIL money now.
Well, that's a good question. But look, no big deal for me if they get but here's why. I mess up all the time in tweets and then post and say things, and I look back later and think, that was dumb. That was boneheaded. I knew better than that. I didn't put university after Clemson like it was supposed to be instead of before Clemson. It happens. Here's my warning, though. Here's what I'll say. I get that it happens. Let's just not make a habit of making it happen. I don't want to hear University of Clemson more than once, but I'm okay with it, Diesel. So I'll give him a pass.
I'll say this, Cole. If you got my school's name wrong in a tweet, the only thing that will have me forgive you is go win me a conference championship.
Go win a championship.
Go win me a conference, not a national championship. That's a ludicrous request. I mean,
unless you're Bama.
Then I'd never forgive any of these guys, right? But you get the name wrong, you go win me a conference title. Then we're cool.
Okay, I hear you. All right, 71307. I challenged you to bring it strong today, texters. Who will have more, texters or streamers? Because we have a good crowd, 123 watching in the stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Texters, they've already got you. I mean, they've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes for round 1, now 6. It's time for round number 2. Fight. All right. Round 2, Diesel. I was really fascinated by Tennessee last night winning the national championship in baseball. They have a really good baseball coach, right? They've got their guy. They've got a really good baseball coach. We do not know if they have their guy in football. The question for round 2 is, will they win a national championship in football under their current coach, Josh Heupel? What does Diesel say?
So Josh Heupel's still a relatively young man. He's probably, in his late 40s? That'd be my guess.
I guess 40, something.
Yeah, I mean, he is the adult Bobby Hill. He looks exactly like Bobby Hill from King of the Hill. You got to think, all right, there's a possibility he could be there for another 10, 15 years at least.
46.
Okay, he could be there for another 15 years at least, if all goes well, right? I think by then he could win it. He could win it.
Ooh.
Now, as of right now, Tennessee is not above on the good side of the blue chip ratio. He does not have more than 50% 4- and 5-star guys on that team. I do believe, though, Cole, that given time, Josh Heupel will get Tennessee over that mark and playing in the SEC. I mean, you just got to be top 5 in the SEC, and you're probably getting into the expanded 12 or 14 team playoff. And once you're in, man, all bets are off. You could go win this thing.
That's where I have issue. They are in the SEC. I'm not a Josh Heupel hater. I just don't know that he's the guy that leads Tennessee to the promised land on the gridiron. So I go no. Tennessee football will not win a championship, a national championship to be clear, under Josh Heupel. To your point, Diesel, the playoff is expanded, so you never know. They could get in a few years, right? They could get in this year. They could have got in the last few years if it were 12 because they've had some good teams. I just don't know that they've been good enough, deep enough to win it all, and I do not see them winning it all under Josh Heupel. If you're on the fence, there is another round.
Final round. Fight!
You put this one on here, Diesel, and you are asking the question, the better genre, vampire movies / shows or zombie movies / shows?
Yeah.
This one's fascinating. What say you?
It's interesting how these two genres kind of ebb and flow over the years, right? Like there was a whole bunch of vampire shows and movies, and then those kind of go away, and then the zombie movies come in. And those got kind of tired and old. And now it's the vampire stuff coming back. Like there's a new Nosferatu movie.
Hey, what?
Coming out, Nosferatu.
No clue what that means.
It's like the original vampire movie.
Okay.
You ever see like that really old Bela Lugosi vampire movie, black and white, tall, skinny vampire?
I've heard
with bald
of it.
head?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think overall, not going decade by decade or what's hot right now, I think zombie shows and movies are just better. They're meaner. They're darker. They're grittier. They seem to have more suspense to them, you know, like, and it feels like maybe it's with enough bath salts coming out of the state of Florida that we may have a real zombie invasion in this country one day. So I'm going to say the zombie movies are better.
Zombie movies are better, says Diesel.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not big into the vampire movies or zombie movies, but there's nothing about a zombie, which is totally fake, because vampires are real, right? Vampires are at least a real thing. No, you can't convince me that I have to watch a zombie movie. There's nobody coming back to life and walking at you, you know, with their hands out. If I have to choose, those things are supposed to be shot on the video games. Give me the vampire
You never saw
movies.
like World War Z
Yeah,
with
I did see
Brad
that.
Pitt?
Yeah.
You know, the zombies are fast. They're smart in that. Like they're not these dumb, slow, plotting things that you see in other. And I think that's scary as hell, dude. Yeah.
Scary. All right.
Plus, The Walking Dead, for seasons 1, 2, and 3 of The Walking Dead cannot be touched. There is no zombie movie or show that comes anywhere close to seasons 1 through 3 of The Walking Dead. After that, the show started to suck.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right, I'll recap. But first, if you want to get a fight in, if you have a really good fight suggestion, you can do so.
What do you want Diesel and Co Bryson to fight about next?
If you've got an ass,
Submit your topics to Diesel at thefanupstate.com. Subject line fight on the Fan Upstate.
Round 1. If a recruit gets your school's name wrong in a tweet, does it bother you? For example, University of Clemson, Diesel says, oh, yeah, it bothers him. I say no. Round 2, Tennessee under Josh Heupel. They just won the Natty in baseball. Will they win the Natty in football under Josh Heupel? Diesel says, heck yeah. I say no. Final round, better movie genre. Vampires or zombies? Diesel says zombies. I say vampires on that one. What say you? Rounds 1, 2, and 3. I challenged you. Let's get them in. 71307. Start your text with the word fan. Diesel, what's the stream say? Actually, don't read it if they're picking you.
No, there was. I think vampire movies have gotten fun. They've gotten silly. Like there was that Nick Cage movie where he was a vampire.
I like Nick Cage.
Came out about 2-3 years ago. Mm-hmm. That was really good. So the genre is, I think, in a goofy, fun place right now.
Yeah.
So those of you like Mad Craft who say that I cut you off at the knees, that nobody says, nobody's agreeing with vampires. There have been some really fun vampire movies over the last couple of years. Okay, so let's get into some of these responses on the stream. Spur Daddy says Diesel wins round 1. He says College of Clemmy. Ooh, that's going to ruffle some feathers down in Pickens County. He says Cole, big time win for round 2. Spur Daddy says Diesel wins round 3. So I take it in Spur Daddy's votes. Let's see here. JD says, good job, Cole. Autocorrect gets me all the time. Still, Diesel wins round 1. He says, that would be a red flag. Getting the name wrong. Getting the name of the college wrong.
Red flag.
Would be a red flag.
Come on.
And then JD says that Cole, you win round 2. Heupel has a great offense, but negative. He will never win a national championship. 1-1 going into round 3. He says, I'm going to go Zombieland with Woody and Diesel for the win. Oh, man. Thank you, JD, for the win there. Let's see who else. Z Fink says Cole wins round 1.
Thank you, Z.
He says Cole wins round 2.
Thank you, Z.
Don't know yet on round 3, but you've got
Still
the series win no matter what happens. Let's see. Who else do we have in the stream?
Lester made a zombies comment. I can't read it. It's too far
Lester
away.
says in the anime Attack on Titan, which I highly recommend, you can almost classify the Titans as zombies, vampires, and werewolves. They have traits of all 3. Never seen Attack on Titan. Never saw Attack on Titan.
Appreciate that though, Lester.
Yeah, the vampire genre got real goofy and bad there for a while. I mean, there was the Twilight stuff. There was True Blood on HBO. That was good for like a season or 2, and then it went downhill fast.
You know what's so funny to me? There is tendencies, Diesel, that I've noticed today. We have tendencies between the Tolos on the stream and the texters. Let me tell you the difference.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like literally to the T. The Tolos in the stream, round by round, they let you know who win, right? Round 1 Diesel, round 2 Cole, whatever. The texters, no. There's none of that.
They wait till the end?
They wait till the end and then send all 3 in, which I thought was fascinating. Maybe it's just like you got the text.
That would actually be helpful. That would be helpful from you Tolos who watch on the stream. And we appreciate you playing along live in real time. But it would be helpful to read to read your messages if you send them all together as one.
It's just weird that it's different because everybody in the stream's rapid fire, and then everybody it's crazy.
JD did say that Cole has been Dracula for Halloween every year since he was 12.
Never have I been Dracula. Never. Sorry, JD. All right, let's see on the text line who wins. Texter says, round 1, Cole, we're not dealing with the best and brightest academic stars. Jeez, Texter. God. This is Alan B.
Oh, that's text of the day. Give him the crown.
Alan. God. I mean, tell us how you really feel here.
Oh, my God. Read that again.
This is from Alan B. He says, round 1, Cole, we're not dealing with the best and brightest academic stars here. That's fantastic, but terrible. You should feel terrible for round 2, Cole, Rocky Top football.
They ain't coming here to play school.
That's right. Alan B says Cole round 2, Rocky Top football flop. No Natty for them. Round 3, Diesel. Not sure I could have voted for Cole a clean sweep.
Can you give me your best vampire impersonation, Cole?
Oh.
The line is, "I want to suck your blood."
I don't even know what a vampire sounds like.
I want to suck your blood.
That's a good one.
It's a Transylvania accent.
Mine would be terrible. Texter from the 884 says, Diesel round 1, Cole round 2, Diesel round 3. But listen, everyone knows zombies can't ride bicycles. Trey in Kentucky
What if they
says,
could learn?
Well, they could. Trey in Kentucky says, Cole round 1, Diesel round 2, Cole round 3. So I won that one. Did Cole say vampires are real? You from Transylvania? Bullwinkle. Cole with a 2-1 win today, won round 2 and 3. Wow, little guy with a big win. Bam. Congrats, Bullwinkle.
What, who you calling a little guy?
Little me. Little Cole.
Little old Cole.
Corn Chip says Cole round 2, Diesel with 1 and 3 for the win. And then lastly,
I like your snacks. I like your name. I like your style.
No kidding. Last one, because we do have to run because we have an unbelievable guest coming up next. Will Law says, Diesel, think you won all 3 today.
And the law said so.
Come on.
Yeah.
Man. Y'all are cheating. You paying them off. I did get some more wins than I normally do, though. I have to give myself a little bit of credit. All right, coming up in the very next segment, we bring on Ben McKee. Who is Ben McKee? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is his first time on Wire to Wire. He works for 247 Sports, covers who? Tennessee Volunteers. Where was he last night? Omaha. We'll talk to him next.
It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM in Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg. We go to the guest line and bring on for the very first time Ben McKee, who covers the Vols for 24/7 Sports. Look him up on Twitter at Ben McKee 14. He was in Omaha last night for Tennessee winning their first baseball national championship. Are you still riding on cloud nine, Ben? Are you still buzzing, or has your heart rate finally come down a little bit?
I think I'm still running on some adrenaline because it was a 4 a.m. Nighttime. It was. I didn't get to sleep till about 4. That's when I laid down. Who knows when I actually fell asleep? And then I had some radio obligations early in the morning, so I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. But I don't feel it as much as I was thinking that I would. So I guess I'm still running on the adrenaline. But last night was really cool for a lot of different reasons.
Ben, we appreciate you taking time to hop on with us right here on the Fan Upstate. You know, listen, there's so many ways to go with this, and I'm sure you've already talked about it on your hits this morning. But seeing the scene last night, seeing the coach and the players and the post-game celebration, it just seemed like what was due all season long. Truly, Tennessee being the best team, winning 60 games. From you covering the team, did you guys feel like through the course of the season that it was a team of destiny almost?
Towards the end of the season, I wouldn't say from start to finish. I mean, you knew from the jump just because of how Tony Vitello recruits and the recruiting classes that he always has coming in and their ability to develop players. Like, you know that they're going to have a chance every season to do something special. It's just a matter of how special, and there's degrees to it, obviously, as well. It varies from year to year, but you know that they're always going to have a really good baseball team. It's just a matter of how good. And so you knew it was a top 25 team coming into the season with top 10, top 15 potential. But it wasn't really, I'd say, until the last month of the season, regular season, and around May that I thought that this team had a chance to win a national championship. They just kind of took off, and they were steadily piecing series wins together. Winning a lot of game threes and doing it in an unconventional way with the pitching rotation, with an opener in game one. You're without A.J. Russell, who is going to be your best pitcher. Xander Seacrest had been a midweek guy for so long and more of a crafty lefty than somebody who has overpowering stuff. So I think a lot of people were waiting for the other shoe to drop with the pitching staff. But the pitching staff, starting with Xander Seacrest, just continued to get better and better, stronger and stronger. And that led to the offense always was what it was, right? It was the best offense in the country. But the reason that Tennessee was able to win the national championship is because the pitching staff was able to step up and play some big time baseball alongside the offense. And it started with Xander Seacrest. And you started to see those developments mid-May or so as they were getting ready for the SEC tournament. They had a big series win over Kentucky and Lexington. I think the final weekend of April, I want to see. And it feels like it just kind of took off from there. And that was the first time that you realized, okay, this team has a chance to go win a national championship if the pieces can fall in place.
Ben, try to describe your feelings in the roller coaster throughout that game last night as it progressed. You know, Tennessee got up to that 3-1 lead after the third inning, a bunch of goose eggs all the way up until the seventh, no scoring up until the seventh inning. And it felt like Tennessee had kind of put it away after scoring 3 in the seventh. But then, man, that 8th and 9th must have been really stressful. Describe that feeling.
Yeah, it was exactly that for a whole lot of people, and just didn't really know how it was going to turn out there for a moment. I mean, in the 7th inning, Dylan Dowling hits that 2-run home run, gives them a 4-run lead, I believe, at the time, and then Hunter Inslee scores all the way from first. On a Kavaris Tears RBI double and had the acrobatic slide and swim move into home plate to avoid the tag. And I think they were up by 5 at that point. I think it was 6-1. And that's when it started to set in that Tennessee has a legitimate shot here to win the whole thing. And I think you could feel the vibe in the stadium from Tennessee fans start to pick up as well. Like they were starting to realize that a national championship was at their fingertips. And then Texas A&M swung right back and scored 2 in the 8th. Kirby Connell had to come in and get back-to-back strikeouts in typical Kirby Connell fashion to round out a fabulous career for him. And then A&M kept swinging in the 9th as well, scored 2 more runs, and it took Aaron Combs, I believe it was I guess it was the tying run at the plate, coming up with back-to-back strikeouts after A&M had scored 2 more runs to make it a 1-run game. So you could feel the anticipation building. You could tell that Tennessee fans could tell that the national championship was at its fingertips after that Dreiling homer. But it took Kirby Connell and Aaron Combs saving the day, as they've done often this season and throughout their career.
Ben McKee joining us right here on Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate, covers the Vols for 24/7 Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben McKee14. Ben, I saw a video that was really fascinating earlier today on Twitter, X, if you will, and it was like one of the first games that Tony Vitello coached in at Tennessee. There was no one in the stands, and it was just kind of I guess, I don't want to say a complete turnaround from nothing, but in your opinion, when you see what Tennessee was when Tony Vitello took the job to what it is now, how would you describe the turnaround that he has accomplished at Tennessee?
I would call it exactly that. I mean, I do think it's been a turnaround from pretty much nothing. Tennessee did have some success in the 90s and in the early 2000s, but between that point, the mid 2000s up until Tony Vitello took over, the University of Tennessee just simply did not care about baseball and did not pump resources into the program whatsoever. So I do think it's a complete turnaround from nothing, and almost a miracle, if you want to use that word, because it was going to take somebody special like Tony Vitello to get the university to buy in. And Tennessee, obviously being in the South, baseball is very popular in the South. All it took was the right guy. I guess now I can feel comfortable saying that it was a sleeping giant now that they won a national championship, but they're so close to Nashville and Atlanta and so many recruiting hotbeds for baseball. And at a place like the University of Tennessee, there's no reason that they can't pump resources into the program. They just didn't really want to, quite frankly. And it took the personality of Tony Vitello to really get everybody on the same boat. On the university side, the booster side, the fans, players, in terms of how he was recruiting, so on and so forth. And he was able to kind of mesh it all together. And next thing you know, everybody's bought in, and you reach the point to where you've won a national championship, because people, they gravitate towards Tony. And when you have that type of personality, people are willing to commit to you and give you the resources that you need. And that's exactly what happened. They jumped on board because of Tony's personality and how people gravitate towards him. And he took those resources and ran with it.
Ben McKee, he covers Tennessee baseball for 24/7 Sports. The Olympics, Ben, are coming up. We're 31, I think, days away. I want you to be the East German judge. Be ruthless. Could you rate Tony Vitello's form as he dove into the crowd the way that he did? How did he do?
I thought he did pretty well. I guess if you're Tennessee or if you're Tony Vitello, you're glad that you didn't turn an ankle there or tear your ACL or something else happen as you jump on the tarp and jump into the crowd to celebrate with the fans. That was just a really cool moment, and I think that speaks to why people gravitate towards him, because I know it can rub people the wrong way at the same time at times, and I get it. But I mean, he's a good guy at the end of the day, and just has a lot of passion and a lot of energy, and very fiery, as everybody knows. And sometimes he doesn't channel it the right way. But I do think he has done a good job the last 2 years of dialing it down a little bit after the Drew Gilbert incident in 2022. And I think that allowed them to win the national championship this year because it was a very mature team that started with him. So when I talk about how people gravitate towards Tony, that moment there where he kind of ran into the mosh pit and he's fighting with the fans right behind the tarp after jumping onto the tarp, that's exactly a perfect description or a perfect visual for why he's been able to do what he's done.
Hey, Ben, I want to look at the totality of the 3-game series in the World Series. Was there any worry from the coaching staff that you heard in the interviews and from the media standpoint of those of you that were there about the number of base runners that Tennessee left on in the first 2 games? Like, if I would have told you that Tennessee was going to lose the World Series, would that have been the reason?
Yeah, it would have been a contributing factor for sure, because you expect the offense to score 6, 7, 8 runs a game. I mean, I don't think it's reasonable to expect double-digit runs against a really good Texas A&M pitching staff, and I think that A&M pitching staff is probably the best and deepest in the country, and they held Tennessee in check for a good chunk of the series. But to me, the biggest issue was just it seemed like Tennessee was playing with a lot of pressure on its shoulders. It seemed like it was affecting them in that first game and for most of game 2. And then Dylan Dowling hits his second of 3 home runs in game 2 in the 7th inning. And it just felt like the entire team was able to take a deep breath and just go play their brand of baseball. So I think that was critical for them this weekend to just kind of play loose like they have all season. That's part of the reason they got as far as they did. And they weren't playing with that looseness that they had for so long in those first 2 games. And I think that Dowling homer loosened them up. So the defense and pitching depth was always the bugaboos when they did play poorly. So if you would have told me that they were struggling in the series, I would have pointed to those 2 possibilities. And in that first game, they committed 3 errors. And for the second time in 4 games in Omaha, and during the regular season in 55 games, they only had 3 errors once. So I think that the pressure was getting to them a little bit. And as I've mentioned, I think that Dowling homer really loosened them up and allowed them to play their brand of baseball.
Ben, Josh Elander's name was a name on a lot of South Carolina fans' short list of candidates. Obviously, the Gamecocks have moved on. They've made their hire. But how safe do you think Josh's career in Tennessee is? How long do you think he ultimately stays on this staff after this title?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question. It's $1 million question. I know for a fact he's very, very comfortable in Knoxville, and he certainly wants to be a head coach one day, but he's in no rush at all, because he is sitting pretty right now. Tony Vitello is on the verge of receiving quite the contract extension, and part of that extension is to where the assistant coach, the salary pool for the assistant coaches is going to be as large as any program in the country, if not the largest. So Josh Elander is about to be well taken care of. And again, it's only a matter of time before he becomes a head coach, but he is very comfortable. They've got some big time recruiting classes coming in the next couple of years. So he's in a position to where he can be very picky. So I know it's a cliche answer, or maybe I'm taking the easy way out, but it just really depends on what jobs open. I mean, there's some scuttlebutt about Schloss going to Texas, which would be fascinating after this weekend. I mean, if A&M came after Elander, then sir, I think that he would obviously take that job. But like you saw in Ohio State open, I don't think that he was going to jump for that. Carolina, as far as I'm concerned, never really made formal contact with him. I mean, they may have through back channels through other representation, but there were never any serious conversations there. That might have been a job that he takes. Obviously, South Carolina, a very one of the blue bloods in the sport and in the SEC, so that's one that you could see him taking. But I think it's gonna. What I'm getting to is I think it's going to take a South Carolina or a Texas A&M to pry him away. He's not just going to leave just for the sake of leaving, because he is loving life in Knoxville right now with his young family.
Hey, Ben, my last question for you. This was a topic of conversation last week on this show. I don't know why, because this is a sports show, but, sometimes the non-sports topics get talked about a little bit more than sports. But when you're at the airport, like you are, I don't know, right now, are you a guy that will sit and wait and be one of the very last people on the plane, or are you one of the first to rush and get on and get your seat and get your belongings over your head?
I wait until it's my row's turn.
Okay.
I sit there until it's my row's turn to stand up. And I'm sorry if you're one of those people that like to stand up right away, but that is one of my biggest pet peeves. I'll put it nicely.
Yes.
Since we're on the show here, it is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, y'all aren't going anywhere. Like, why are y'all standing up? Just sit down, relax, and when it's your turn to go, you'll be able to get up and go.
Ben, a good question that we argued about in the last segment on this show here. Now that Tennessee has won a national championship in baseball, do you believe that they will win one under Josh Heupel in football?
Ooh, that's a fascinating question. I certainly think he has the potential to do so. In terms of giving you a firm answer, I would tell you no as of today. I'm a big believer in Josh Heupel. I think that I need to see more to feel confident in saying, like, hey, he's going to win a national championship, because I've kind of, one of my sayings that I've been sharing the last year or two is like, hey, with Tony Vitello, it would be more of a surprise if he doesn't win a national championship than if he did win a national championship. And Josh Heupel's been really good at Tennessee so far, but he hasn't quite done, obviously, what Tony did in his first few seasons. So I think there's another level of consistent success, stacking back-to-back 10, 11 win seasons together, making the playoffs before I really feel comfortable saying yes. And they recruit pretty well right now, but I think that in order to win a national championship, you've got to take it up a notch and just really. I mean, Tony Vitello recruits as well as anybody in the country, better than anybody in the country, especially given the resources that he has had to work with. And that's why they won the national championship, because he's an elite recruiter. And Josh Heupel's a good one, not an elite one. And I think he needs to get to that elite stage if he wants to get one. But the reason I would not be surprised if he did one day, even though I don't want to give you a firm yes right now, is because maybe the offense and how difficult it can be to stop with a potent quarterback back there. It can maybe make up for that little extra juice of recruiting that I'm talking about that I think that you need.
Ben, great stuff, man. As always, we appreciate your time, and I know you are low on sleep, so I hope you get some good rest. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to join anytime. Appreciate y'all having me, and hope you'll have a great rest of your week.
Absolutely. You too, man. That is Ben McKee. He covers the Vols for 247 Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben McKee14. If you do, let him know that you heard him on Wire to Wire.
Yeah, now that hearing him talking about Josh Heupel, and he said the offense can certainly mask a lot of defensive issues. The big problem is he's still got to go up against Kirby Smart. He's still got to go up against Brian Kelly. He's still got to go up against Steve Sarkisian and Brent Venables and that huge list of great coaches in the SEC.
Alabama.
Yeah. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. I mean, he might have changed my mind there on our 5 o'clock fight.
Good answer, man.
Will Josh Heupel win one? He says it. He could, but I wouldn't put him in the category of I would be surprised if he didn't win one.
Oh, I agree. I thought that was a fantastic answer. Really good stuff from Ben. I love hearing about the reaction from last night's, dog pile. We heard the audio from when they won it, and that stuff's that's just hard to come by, man. Like, you get goosebumps. That's the best part of sports.
And that Tony Vitello clip that I was talking about, Cole, I don't know if you've seen it, but he comes out of the comes off of the first baseline, and he uses the tarp, the big roll of tarp, to launch himself into the stands. Which that could go wrong a million different ways, right? That thing could roll on him just a little bit. I understand that they're really heavy, and it's unlikely that thing is going to move on you.
We played this.
It could happen.
Oh, it could. We played this audio earlier in the show to lead the show, actually. If you missed it, here's what it sounded like when the Volunteers won it all last night.
The pitch. Swing and a miss. That's the ball game. How about that? The Aggies scored 2 in the ninth, but the Volunteers, Tennessee, the climb is complete. They have reached the summit. The Volunteers are the very best in college baseball, and the championship flag has been planted on Rocky Top. For the 60th and final time this season, Tennessee says hello win column and hello national championship. Everybody in Vol Nation can stand and repeat or say with me, while they are wearing black, the national champion is clad in big orange. It's Tennessee over Texas A&M. The final score, Vols 6, Aggies 5. The dream has come true. This is Tennessee baseball.
That's a fantastic call, man.
Man, if I was a Vols fan, I would make that my ringtone, and I would never answer the phone because I would want to hear it every time.
Credit to John Wilkerson. Big John. Fantastic call, man. That's great stuff. All right, Diesel, I have some more audio for you. On the other side, I'm not a Lakers fan, but I watched a 7-minute video yesterday, start to finish, of J.J. Redick giving an answer or 2 or 3 in the introductory press conference for the Lakers. It's fascinating stuff. I have a piece of it next. So, Diesel, I'm not a Los Angeles Laker diehard. I've never considered myself a Lakers fan. I do pull for him
You're
because
just
of
a LeBron
LeBron.
pony boy.
I'm a LeBron fan, yes.
Goes wherever LeBron goes.
Well, that's correct.
Hook your wagon.
Well, listen, I don't know why. And I was a little skeptical of J.J. Redick when he got the job. But, man, just hearing him talk, I know it's just a press conference, but I'm kind of sold. Like I tweeted out yesterday, I may be dead wrong, but I'm Team JJ. I'm all in on JJ. I think he's going to do good. I think he's a brilliant guy. And just because a guy doesn't have a lot of experience doesn't mean you shouldn't hire him. Rob Pelinka evidently saw something there that he liked. I have some audio, and I want to hear your reaction to this audio from JJ Redick. Tell us how you really feel, JJ.
What misconceptions or concerns about you that you've heard in the last few weeks are you the most looking forward to dispelling when you're the coach?
It's a valid question, and I've certainly heard everything. It's been a really interesting 6 weeks or so, just in terms of being part of the engagement farming industry. It's been really interesting. However, I don't really have a great answer for your question because I really don't give a honestly. I want to coach the Lakers. I want to coach the team. I don't want to dispel anything. I don't. I want to become a great coach in the NBA, and I want to win championships, and I want my players to maximize their careers. That's all I care about.
What?
2
Wow.
F-bombs, JJ. Take it easy, buddy.
Yeah, on ESPN right now, the line on PTI, well, it just changed, but the line on PTI said J.J. Redick seemed blank at his press conference. Look, he's a smart guy. He's obviously spent time in media. He's played this game before, so he certainly called out the reporter, not in a harsh way.
Sure.
But he says, I understand what it is you're trying to do here, because he was a
Valid
podcaster.
question.
He was a podcaster for years, and
he's on First Take a lot,
8 years, and he's gone on a lot of these TV shows quite a bit. So he knows what the reporter is doing here, and he obviously could have been an even bigger jerk about the question. He could have said, "Well, I'm not a podcaster anymore. I am a coach. Treat me like a coach." But he didn't do that. But hey, I thought his answer was fine, right? I'm not here to dispel your misconceptions. I'm here to coach the team.
So I'll tell you what I heard. For as much as noise is made about LeBron picking JJ and it's being a LeBron hire, JJ has made it very evident in the introductory press conference that I don't want to say he doesn't care about LeBron, but I do think, Diesel, that JJ, from a basketball standpoint, I think the way his mind works, I think it's bigger for LeBron.
He's playing the long game.
He's playing the long game. I think he understands that LeBron's there, valuable piece, still shooting at 46% at 100 years old, very valuable still. However, he understands that it's not all about LeBron, and I think that's the best mentality to go with going forward. Appreciate the pieces you have, but at the end of the day, I was in a conversation with someone earlier. JJ was a blank in college, a shooter. JJ was a blank in the NBA, a shooter. He made his paychecks because he was a shooter. Guess what JJ is going to have to do? He's going to have to get a team of shooters, because the current team right now, while they're a little bit better defensively, they lack perimeter shooters who can pull the trigger, and I think that's where JJ will really improve the team. I'm in. I'm sold. I'm excited about what JJ is going to do.
I want somebody at some point, Cole, to take a video clip of LeBron James taking one of his patented 4-step dunks and overlay the AARP theme to it. Each step, AARP.
You're a hater.
I just want to know, Cole, are you still going to be a Lakers fan after LeBron retires?
No. I will
No.
not be a Lakers fan after LeBron.
So you're going to be a
retires.
free agent when LeBron retires.
That's correct. And listen,
Wow.
I found myself pulling for the Mavericks because I like the Cowboys and I like Luka and
You want to
Kyrie.
be a Hornets fan? You don't want to support the hometown team or a
I'll
Hawks
tell
fan?
you this. I'll do you one better. If LeBron retires in the next few years, which I think he will, and we have a new Hornets coach who actually does a good job, which I think the hire is a good hire. I will. I'm not going to sound bandwagon.
You're taking the wait and see
I'm not going to
approach.
say bandwagon.
You're going to wait till they get good, and then you're going to hop on the bandwagon.
Should I claim it early? Should I just go
Yeah,
ahead
I
and
think
claim
you
it?
should.
So what you're saying is the day LeBron retires, I claim the Hornets as my new
Yeah,
team.
and if you want to say that your fandom is for sale, that's fine.
It is.
That's fine. I mean, we can auction it off to the highest bidder. But, I mean, you got to choose one. It's either going to be the Hawks or it's going to be the Hornets.
I can't choose Dallas.
No.
Luka.
You shouldn't.
Come on.
You shouldn't. Because by that point, Luka's going to be old AF too. And he's going to want to retire soon too.
I don't have an issue with planting the Hornets flag. I don't. I like to wait and see. But
despite having a terrible owner and a terrible win percentage and terrible everything else, they got the best fan base or best color scheme in the NBA.
They've got a winner though as the head
That's
coach.
for sure.
So we'll see.
Hey, when we come back, we are going to get to JD's phone call here in the next segment. So JD, hang on the line. But Athlon Sports has released their odds to win the national championship in 2024. Is Tennessee even on the list? We talked about Josh Heupel before with our previous guest. We'll get into that next, right here on Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. I'm Diesel. You're the Tolos, and this is the Fan Upstate. Gonna get to the odds, the best chances to win the 2024 college football playoff here in this segment. Little teaser: Clemson is on the list, but not in the good part of the list.
Ooh,
not in the real good, feeling fine about yourselves part of the list. But before we get there, we bring on JD, caller, Tolo. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, I was actually just trying to get in. Y'all were just mentioning J.J. Redick. First of all, thank you for taking my call. And then secondly, Cole, before you even go anywhere, before you even say one thing about me bad-mouthing LeBron, let's
That's cruel.
How about
That's
that?
cruel. He turned your mic off, JD. He didn't want to hear it
just,
from you.
Just in fun. So whatever you said, repeat it. I was just being funny. I turned your mic off. But it's on now.
no, you're good. I said we'll leave LeBron out of this. But so listen, the whole J.J. Redick thing being hired, and hold on, let me bring LeBron back to it real quick. Me and you, and I'll even include Diesel if he were a LeBron fan, but Diesel, don't get it twisted. When I say that me and Cole are about to be the best 2 free agents in NBA history coming up, it is a big deal for them to find another player for them to market to us. When LeBron retires, we're going to be free agents. We're going to be looking for another team, most likely another player to root for.
Yep.
So, I mean, who is that going to be at that point? Is it going to be Ja Morant? Is it going to be Zion? Is it going to be Jason Tatum, Jokic, Doncic, whoever it may be, Wemby?
No,
maybe even?
no.
The only thing I'll be rooting for Zion for is to not get diabetes.
Hey, how about you didn't name the one I was going to say? Maybe Anthony Edwards is the guy.
We learned about him already. We already, in the playoffs, blew him up to be the next Michael Jordan. So, but back to the J.J. Redick thing, though. And so, we're going to be great free agents. It's a huge deal for the NBA to capitalize. But as far as J.J. Redick and the situation that he's entering, man, roster deficiencies, playing in the West, huge expectations coming in. Granted, he handled the press conference like a pro, kind of. He also kind of handled it a little bit cocky, which, granted, I've been accused of being the same thing before. A little bit cocky, a little bit arrogant. But, man, he's a smart guy. He's a great guy. I hope he succeeds. But I just don't know how it's going to work out with someone not having any coaching experience. And it's going to be difficult. I mean, is it not, Cole? I mean, can you imagine stepping into that situation?
It's interesting, JD. He's going to have 3 years to figure out how to coach with LeBron, and he's going to have 1 year to figure out how to coach without LeBron.
JD,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that it's the worst thing in the world. I mean, you talk about roster deficiencies. LeBron and AD obviously are older, but I like Rui, Jared Vanderbilt, all good players. D'Angelo Russell, jury's still out on. Gabe Vincent, Dinwiddie, Christian Wood, young guy, power forward. I think they have talent. It's just they've got to get the most out of them.
Appreciate the call from JD Tolo. Appreciate you being a part of the show each and every day. We need Madcraft calling into the show. We need Spur Daddy calling into the show about Lester and all you other guys, Z Fink, who have been listening throughout the entire afternoon. Call into the show every once in a while, would you? The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. Athlon Sports has released their odds to win the national championship in 2024. Cole, only 16 teams, according to Athlon, have enough of what it takes to be considered a true title contender. What does it take? Really good players. Really good blue chip.
Segment over.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Next.
No, they I think created this. They created the blue chip ratio or the concept of it, and it is very, very accurate, Cole. So if you do not have at least 50% of your entire roster 4 or 5 star guys, you don't have a legitimate chance to win the college football playoffs. So they released their list. 16 teams fall within that range. 8 of them are in the SEC, 5 of them Big Ten, 2 in the ACC, and 1 independent. And it's, I was going to say it's not BYU, but BYU is not independent anymore, are they? They've gone to the Big 12, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Gosh, Like Notre Dame, who else is it? There's not a whole lot of independents out there left anymore, but it is Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the one independent. So here are the contenders that they have listed on their website and the percentage of the team that are blue chip, either 4 or 5 star guys. So this is more or less the top 16 and odds to win the national championship. Auburn comes in at 16th with 53% blue chip guys. That's great. I mean, Auburn, you're fine being on the list at 53%, but I don't think you have a real chance. And once we get through this list, Cole, we can go back and actually whittle out some of the teams that we think probably don't have a real chance to win the national championship, even though they do meet the minimum requirements. So Florida State sits at 49%. They're just outside the blue chip ratio requirement at 50%. Auburn at 53%. They're 16th. Michigan is 15th at 56%. Michigan was just built different last year, right? They didn't have a ton of 5 stars all over that field, but they were just built and they played team football. Number 14 is USC at 59% blue chip. Number 13, Penn State at 61%. Number 12, Madcraft, this will make you happy, Miami has 61% blue chip guys on their roster. Florida at 11th with 63%. Clemson at 10 with 64%. So the 10th highest percentage of blue chip guys on your roster goes to Clemson. Number 9, Notre Dame at 67%. LSU at 8 with 70%. Texas 72%. They are at 7th. 6, Oklahoma 73%. 5, Oregon 76%. 4, Texas A&M 79%. Number 3, Georgia 80%. 4 out of 5 guys on their roster, Cole, are blue chip guys. Alabama 88% at number 2, and Ohio State 90%. 9 out of 10 guys on their roster are either 4 or 5 star athletes. That means you're going to see a lot of 4 stars riding the pine all season long. So going back through that list really quickly, Cole, and I see that we have Sean from Simpsonville on the line. We're going to get back to you here in just a couple of minutes, Sean, so hang tight. I think you could probably easily cross Auburn off that list. They're the weakest team on this list. I mean, excluding Florida State, who are just outside there, but they got the SEC schedule in front of them. Auburn is going to get beat up. You know, when you're at 53%, but you're playing teams like Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Florida, you are the weakest link in the SEC as far as being above this blue chip ratio. So mark them off the list. Michigan, they got a new coach. I'm not super keen on putting him as a guy that can go out and win the national championship in his first year. A lot of unknown going on up there, but Madcraft, before you get there, see, this is like a Madcraft appreciation day. Larry Coker and Dennis Erickson both won national championships at Miami in their first season. And as a matter of fact, it's even been done at Michigan. Some guy named Benny Oosterbaan won the national championship at Michigan in his first season. And take a wild guess what year that was, Cole.
I have no idea.
Take a wild guess.
1923.
48.
Okay.
So you're way off.
Okay.
God, what an idiot guess.
Yeah.
Gus Malzahn and Sonny Dykes were both runner-up in their first year as head coaches. So look, there's 7 guys who either made it to the national championship game or won the national championship in their first year at a school. So it is possible, but this is the modern age of college football. A lot has changed since those guys did it.
I don't
Florida.
know. Go ahead.
Florida's in a state of disarray. I'm not confident about Florida's chances. Same thing with Clemson, especially at the quarterback position. A lot of question marks there at quarterback. I wouldn't say Clemson is a strong candidate to go win the national championship this year. Everyone else on this list, Cole, kind of feels like legit contenders. Maybe mark Southern Cal off the list, but I think anybody from basically 13 and up outside of Clemson has a chance to go win this thing.
So the only thing that I would say is, like, I hear what they mean with blue chip players, and I get all of that.
Mm-hmm.
My only issue is I think Michigan has got to be a contender, top 5 contender going in. Michigan is
new head coach, new quarterback.
Michigan's not a blip. Michigan is not just a lightning in the bottle for me. I think that Sharon Moore has absolutely embraced the hire. Sharon Moore knows exactly what kind of culture was in place because maybe he was there, right, on staff. I'm sold on the Sharon Moore hire. I'm not saying that he's going to be better than Harbaugh, but I'm just telling you this. Michigan not being talked about in the national championship conversation because they lost their head coach and because they lost their quarterback is the absolute biggest mistake that we can make. Michigan is a blue blood. They're going to continue to recruit at a high level. Sharon Moore is the guy, and Diesel, they're not done competing for national championships, in my opinion. I think they'll be back.
No, I think they'll be back eventually, but I don't think they're going to be back in 2024. Look, if Sharon Moore can get them into the college football playoff, and I would not be shocked at all if he got them back into the college football playoff and won a game.
Yeah, they're going to.
Now we're talking about them able to recruit on the level of getting back up there in the high 60s, low 70s, and then all of a sudden you're inside the top 10 with the amount of talent that you've got on your team. And inside the top 10, you got a shot because you can have all the talent in the world on your roster. Look at Texas A&M under Jimbo Fisher and that ridiculous class that they signed under Jimbo. If you don't have the right coaching staff, if you don't have some things just fall your way and the ball bounce your way, you can easily lose even though you've got more talent.
You know, I'm fascinated with number 6, Oklahoma, 73% blue chip players. I really, like maybe I'm undervaluing just how good Brent Venables is. Obviously, his first season wasn't good. Last year was good. Mm-hmm. Maybe we just need to realize that Brent Venables is a winner, and Brent Venables is likely going to have Oklahoma back to where he had Clemson. I mean, you talk about 73% of their roster being 4 and 5s. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, being 6th on that list.
And if Brent Venables gets Oklahoma to 2 more 10-win seasons in a row, you can cross off that year 1. Like it didn't even happen. It'll be on the permanent record, but just for the sake of argument, you take that first year. I think they were 6 and 7 or something.
And the cupboard was bared. I mean, the
cupboard was absolutely bare. You erase that off of your board when it comes to bullet points for your arguments against Oklahoma.
Sure. And I think that he's done a terrific job, in a short stint there. I mean, we talked about it the other day when we went to their schedule. Their SEC entrance it'll be a lot tougher. I mean, they'll have to really, really win some surprising coin flip games, in my opinion, but I think you can do it.
I think I had them at 8 wins. I think you had them, 7?
7 or 8, yeah, sounds right. I think it was 7.
Their first year in the SEC.
I'm sold on Venables. Venables is one of the best college coaches in the game, in my opinion. I'm just not so sold on his staff quite yet.
Let's go to the phone lines. We got Sean from Simpsonville who wants to talk Bill Belichick.
Sean, what's up,
what's
man?
on your mind?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good. I'm sure you've seen the news that he's dating a 24-year-old female.
Yeah.
How funny is that?
Do we think they just talked about her homework, or do you think he helped her with her homework?
Here's the question. Could you imagine her trying to explain Snapchat to Bill Belichick? Because that's their generation is all on Snapchat. I could not picture Bill Belichick conversating with Snapchat.
Snapchat's old news, man. It's all TikTok now.
TikTok too, right? Could you see Bill Belichick on TikTok? I think it's, oh my God, I think it's the funniest thing ever.
What do I do?
Is it okay though, Sean? Okay for him to be dating somebody that young, or no way, not okay in your opinion?
In my opinion, no. He probably has a daughter that's older than her.
He's probably got a granddaughter that's close to her age.
Probably, you're right. He looks like the abominable snowman from freaking Frosty.
He does. Thanks for the call, Sean.
If they get married, I appreciate that, Sean.
You too, man.
If they get married, Cole, he's going to have a wife that's younger than his daughters.
That'd be a little bit weird.
Imagine having to call somebody who's like 15 years younger than you Mom.
I say they do not get married. Question. While we're looking at this list, this question is for you, Diesel, as well as the Tolos. Right now, I'm looking at that list. I like the list of the blue chips, 4 and 5 stars, odds to win the national championship. This is a fascinating question that might become a topic tomorrow. This might be a little mini tease for it. Right now, more stock from your pocket, from my pocket, and from the pockets of our listeners. in Kalen DeBoer or Brent Venables?
Ooh.
That is tough.
I think it's Kalen DeBoer.
Really?
I think even in his first year at Alabama, what he accomplished there at Washington and the fact that he has crushed it everywhere he's been. It's not like he was, a crappy high school coach and then he was a good small college coach and then he moved up and he kind of struggled there. Then he took 2 steps back and went to this school and then jumped up to the FCS and was okay there. And then somebody took a flyer on him at a small school. No, Kalen DeBoer has won and won big everywhere he's been. Like at some point, Cole, eventually the law of averages says he's going to get somewhere and he's going to struggle a little bit. Well, this is as good as the competition gets, right? This is the tippy top of the mountain.
It is. It's just fascinating, though, because, those laws would also tell you that as good as Bama's been over the past decade,
yeah,
they're going to come off of that mountain, right?
Well, yeah, and they got the conventional wisdom is, well, now they got Kirby Smart. Now they got Steve Sarkisian in Texas in the league. They got Brent Venables in Oklahoma in the league. My point is, I don't know if Kalen DeBoer sold his soul or if he was blessed, because he was 67-3 at Sioux Falls, 12-6 at Fresno State, and that is a tough place to win. And that's not really it's not really an accurate way of looking at it, because one of those seasons was 2020, it's COVID year. But in his only full season at Fresno State, he went 9-3.
Yeah,
finished second in the conference.
T Swizzle on the stream.
And he went 25-3 at Washington.
Yeah. It's a fascinating question. T Swizzle on the stream says, I would have liked to played for Venables. Old school coach, has that dog in him. It is a poll on the Fan Upstate Twitter at the Fan Upstate. If you don't follow us, do so. Give us a follow at the Fan Upstate. Who would you put more stock into heading into the 2024 season? Kalen DeBoer or Brent Venables?
Do we know if his get-back coach went with him to Oklahoma?
I would say probably not.
I haven't watched any Oklahoma games since Brent Venables took over. So somebody tell me.
I'd say,
or is he
has
just
a
hired
new
somebody new?
I'd say one of the strength coaches is probably.
If he had that
one.
dog in him, I'd put a pinch collar on him and yank him back every time he gets out on the field and teach him a lesson.
If you haven't followed Diesel and I on Twitter, while you're on there following the Fan Upstate and voting in the poll, give us a follow on X while you're there. He is on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, at Diesel on Radio. I am at the.
My preferred pronoun is Twitter.
Okay, I am at the Cole Bryson. That's where you can find me. Again, vote right now. Already 4 votes on the Fan Upstate poll. Who do you put more stock in? That's a fascinating question. Part of me, I'm undecided right now. I might have to wait and tell you my answer tomorrow. I mean, really, because there's a lot to be said about Brent Venables taking over a program that's going into the SEC versus the first time versus a program that's been in the SEC for a very long time.
I will say, Cole, I think right now we probably have more coaches who can go win a national championship any given season than we really ever have in a long time.
No, there's good ones.
I mean, Ryan Day, Kalen DeBoer, Kirby Smart, who else? Brent Venables, Steve Sarkisian,
Dabo,
Brian Kelly.
Dabo.
You said it, not me.
I'll say it.
I mean,
I'll give him the benefit. Today I will. Maybe not tomorrow.
Yeah, I think going into the season, we have a legitimate half a dozen schools that have really, really, really good odds to go win this thing. And so I think it's more fascinating than it's ever been. We're not looking at this as, it's Nick Saban versus everybody else.
I agree. I can't wait. August is approaching. All right. In case you missed it, next segment, Ben McKee, 247 Sports, next.
guest line and bring on for the very first time Ben McKee, who covers the Vols for 24/7 Sports. Look him up on Twitter at Ben McKee 14. He was in Omaha last night for Tennessee, winning their first baseball national championship. Are you still riding on cloud nine, Ben? Are you still buzzing, or has your heart rate finally come down a little bit?
I think I'm still running on some adrenaline because it was a 4 a.m. Nighttime. It was. I didn't get to sleep till about 4. That's when I laid down. Who knows when I actually fell asleep? And then I had some radio obligations early in the morning, so I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. But I don't feel it as much as I was thinking that I would. So I guess I'm still running on the adrenaline. But last night was really cool for a lot of different reasons.
Ben, we appreciate you taking time to hop on with us right here on the Fan Upstate. You know, listen, there's so many ways to go with this, and I'm sure you've already talked about it on your hits this morning. But seeing the scene last night, seeing the coach and the players in the post-game celebration, it just seemed like what was due all season long. Truly, Tennessee being the best team, winning 60 games. From you covering the team, did you guys feel like through the course of the season that it was a team of destiny almost?
Towards the end of the season, I wouldn't say from start to finish. I mean, you knew from the jump just because of how Tony Vitello recruits and the recruiting classes that he always has coming in and their ability to develop players. Like, you know that they're going to have a chance every season to do something special. It's just a matter of how special, and there's degrees to it, obviously, as well. It varies from year to year, but you know that they're always going to have a really good baseball team. It's just a matter of how good. And so you knew it was a top 25 team coming into the season with top 10, top 15 potential. But it wasn't really, I'd say, until the last month of the season, regular season, and around May that I thought that this team had a chance to win a national championship. They just kind of took off, and they were steadily piecing series wins together. Winning a lot of game threes and doing it in an unconventional way with the pitching rotation, with an opener in game one. You're without A.J. Russell, who is going to be your best pitcher. Xander Seacrest had been a midweek guy for so long and more of a crafty lefty than somebody who has overpowering stuff. So I think a lot of people were waiting for the other shoe to drop with the pitching staff. But the pitching staff, starting with Xander Seacrest, just continued to get better and better, stronger and stronger. And that led to the offense always was what it was, right? It was the best offense in the country. But the reason that Tennessee was able to win the national championship is because the pitching staff was able to step up and play some big-time baseball alongside the offense. And it started with Xander Seacrest. And you started to see those developments mid-May or so as they were getting ready for the SEC tournament. They had a big series win over Kentucky and Lexington. I think the final weekend of April, I want to see. And it feels like it just kind of took off from there. And that was the first time that you realized, okay, this team has a chance to go win a national championship if the pieces can fall in place.
Ben, try to describe your feelings in the roller coaster throughout that game last night as it progressed. You know, Tennessee got up to that 3-1 lead after the third inning, a bunch of goose eggs all the way up until the seventh, no scoring up until the seventh inning. And it felt like Tennessee had kind of put it away after scoring 3 in the seventh. But then, man, that 8th and 9th must have been really stressful. Describe that feeling.
Yeah, it was exactly that for a whole lot of people, and just didn't really know how it was going to turn out there for a moment. I mean, in the 7th inning, Dylan Dreiling hits that 2-run home run, gives them a 4-run lead, I believe, at the time. And then Hunter Inslee scores all the way from first on a Kavaris Tears RBI double and had the acrobatic slide and swim move into home plate to avoid the tag. And I think they were up by 5 at that point. I think it was 6-1. And that's when it started to set in that Tennessee has a legitimate shot here to win the whole thing. And I think you could feel the vibe in the stadium from Tennessee fans start to pick up as well. Like they were starting to realize that a national championship was at their fingertips. And then Texas A&M swung right back and scored 2 in the 8th. Kirby Connell had to come in and get back-to-back strikeouts in typical Kirby Connell fashion to round out a fabulous career for him. And then A&M kept swinging in the 9th as well, scored 2 more runs, and took Aaron Combs, I believe it was, I guess it was the tying run at the plate, coming up with back-to-back strikeouts after A&M had scored 2 more runs to make it a 1-run game. So you could feel the anticipation building. You could tell that Tennessee fans could tell that the national championship was at its fingertips after that driving homer. But it took Kirby Connell and Aaron Combs saving the day, as they've done often this season and throughout their career.
Ben McKee joining us right here on Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate, covers the Vols for 24/7 Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben McKee14. Ben, I saw a video that was really fascinating earlier today on Twitter, X, if you will, and it was like one of the first games that Tony Vitello coached in at Tennessee. There was no one in the stands, and it was just kind of I guess, I don't want to say a complete turnaround from nothing, but in your opinion, when you see what Tennessee was when Tony Vitello took the job to what it is now, how would you describe the turnaround that he has accomplished at Tennessee?
I would call it exactly that. I mean, I do think it's been a turnaround from pretty much nothing. Tennessee did have some success in the 90s and in the early 2000s, but between that point, the mid-2000s up until Tony Vitello took over, the University of Tennessee just simply did not care about baseball and did not pump resources into the program whatsoever. So I do think it's a complete turnaround from nothing, and almost a miracle, if you want to use that word, because it was going to take somebody special like Tony Vitello to get the university to buy in. And, Tennessee, obviously being in the South, baseball is very popular in the South. All it took was the right guy. I guess now I can feel comfortable saying that it was a sleeping giant now that they won a national championship, but they're so close to Nashville and Atlanta and so many recruiting hotbeds for baseball. And at a place like the University of Tennessee, there's no reason that they can't pump resources into the program. They just didn't really want to, quite frankly. And it took the personality of Tony Vitello to really get everybody on the same boat. On the university side, the booster side, the fans, players, in terms of how he was recruiting, so on and so forth. And he was able to kind of mesh it all together. And next thing you know, everybody's bought in, and you reach the point to where you've won a national championship, because people, they gravitate towards Tony. And when you have that type of personality, people are willing to commit to you and give you the resources that you need. And that's exactly what happened. They jumped on board because of Tony's personality and how people gravitate towards him. And he took those resources and ran with it.
Ben McKee, he covers Tennessee baseball for 24/7 Sports. The Olympics, Ben, are coming up. We're 31, I think, days away. I want you to be the East German judge. Be ruthless. Could you rate Tony Vitello's form as he dove into the crowd the way that he did? How did he do?
I thought he did pretty well. I guess if you're Tennessee or if you're Tony Vitello, you're glad that you didn't turn an ankle there or tear your ACL or something else happen as you jump on the tarp and jump into the crowd to celebrate with the fans. That was just a really cool moment, and I think that speaks to why people gravitate towards him, because I know it can rub people the wrong way at the same time at times, and I get it. But I mean, he's a good guy at the end of the day, and just has a lot of passion and a lot of energy, and very fiery, as everybody knows. And sometimes he doesn't channel it the right way. But I do think he has done a good job the last 2 years of dialing it down a little bit after the Drew Gilbert incident in 2022. And I think that allowed them to win the national championship this year because it was a very mature team that started with him. So when I talk about how people gravitate towards Tony, that moment there where he kind of ran into the mosh pit and he's fighting with the fans right behind the tarp after jumping onto the tarp, that's exactly a perfect description or a perfect visual for why he's been able to do what he's done.
Hey, Ben, I want to look at the totality of the 3-game series in the World Series. Was there any worry from the coaching staff that you heard in the interviews and from the media standpoint of those of you that were there about the number of base runners that Tennessee left on in the first 2 games? Like, if I would have told you that Tennessee was going to lose the World Series, would that have been the reason?
Yeah, it would have been a contributing factor for sure, because you expect the offense to score 6, 7, 8 runs a game. I mean, I don't think it's reasonable to expect double-digit runs against a really good Texas A&M pitching staff, and I think that A&M pitching staff is probably the best and deepest in the country, and they held Tennessee in check for a good chunk of the series. But to me, the biggest issue was just it seemed like Tennessee was playing with a lot of pressure on its shoulders. It seemed like it was affecting them in that first game and for most of game 2. And then Dylan Drouling hits his second of 3 home runs in game 2 in the 7th inning. And it just felt like the entire team was able to take a deep breath and just go play their brand of baseball. So I think that was critical for them this weekend to just kind of play loose like they have all season. That's part of the reason they got as far as they did. And they weren't playing with that looseness that they had for so long in those first 2 games. And I think that Drouling homer loosened them up. So the defense and pitching depth was always the bugaboos when they did play poorly. So if you would have told me that they were struggling in the series, I would have pointed to those 2 possibilities. And in that first game, they committed 3 errors. And for the second time in 4 games in Omaha, and during the regular season in 55 games, they only had 3 errors once. So I think that the pressure was getting to them a little bit. And as I've mentioned, I think that Drouling homer really loosened them up and allowed them to play their brand of baseball.
Ben, Josh Elander's name was a name on a lot of South Carolina fans' short list of candidates. Obviously, the Gamecocks have moved on. They've made their hire. But how safe do you think Josh's career in Tennessee is? How long do you think he ultimately stays on this staff after this title?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question. It's $1 million question. I know for a fact he's very, very comfortable in Knoxville, and he certainly wants to be a head coach one day, but he's in no rush at all, because he is sitting pretty right now. Tony Vitello is on the verge of receiving quite the contract extension, and part of that extension is to where the assistant coach, the salary pool for the assistant coaches is going to be as large as any program in the country, if not the largest. So Josh Elander is about to be well taken care of. And again, it's only a matter of time before he becomes a head coach, but he is very comfortable. They've got some big time recruiting classes coming in the next couple of years. So he's in a position to where he can be very picky. So I know it's a cliche answer, or maybe I'm taking the easy way out, but it just really depends on what jobs open. I mean, there's some scuttlebutt about Schloss going to Texas, which would be fascinating after this weekend. I mean, if A&M came after Elander, then sure, I think that he would obviously take that job. But like you saw in Ohio State open, I don't think that he was going to jump for that. Carolina, as far as I'm concerned, never really made formal contact with him. I mean, they may have through back channels through other representation, but there were never any serious conversations there. That might have been a job that he takes. Obviously, South Carolina, a very one of the blue bloods in the sport and in the SEC, so that's one that you could see him taking. But I think it's going to. What I'm getting to is I think it's going to take a South Carolina or a Texas A&M to pry him away. He's not just going to leave just for the sake of leaving, because he is loving life in Knoxville right now with his young family.
Hey, Ben, my last question for you. This was a topic of conversation last week on this show. I don't know why, because this is a sports show, but, sometimes the non-sports topics get talked about a little bit more than sports. But when you're at the airport, like you are, I don't know, right now, are you a guy that will sit and wait and be one of the very last people on the plane, or are you one of the first to rush and get on and get your seat and get your belongings over your head?
I wait until it's my row's turn.
Okay.
I sit there until it's my row's turn to stand up. And I'm sorry if you're one of those people that like to stand up right away, but that is one of my biggest pet peeves. I'll put it nicely.
Yes.
Since we're on the show here, it is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, y'all aren't going anywhere. Like, why are y'all standing up? Just sit down, relax, and when it's your turn to go, you'll be able to get up and go.
Ben, a good question that we argued about in the last segment on this show here. Now that Tennessee has won a national championship in baseball, do you believe that they will win one under Josh Heupel in football?
Ooh, that's a fascinating question. I certainly think he has the potential to do so. In terms of giving you a firm answer, I would tell you no as of today. I'm a big believer in Josh Heupel. I think that I need to see more to feel confident in saying, like, hey, he's going to win a national championship. Because I've kind of, one of my sayings that I've been sharing the last year or two is like, hey, with Tony Vitello, it would be more of a surprise if he doesn't win a national championship than if he did win a national championship. And Josh Heupel's been really good at Tennessee so far, but he hasn't quite done, obviously, what Tony did in his first few seasons. So I think there's another level of consistent success, stacking back-to-back 10, 11 win seasons together, making the playoffs, before I really feel comfortable saying yes. And they recruit pretty well right now, but I think that in order to win a national championship, you've got to take it up a notch and just really. I mean, Tony Vitello recruits as well as anybody in the country, better than anybody in the country, especially given the resources that he has had to work with. And that's why they won the national championship, because he's an elite recruiter. And Josh Heupel's a good one, not an elite one. And I think he needs to get to that elite stage if he wants to get one. But the reason I would not be surprised if he did one day, even though I don't want to give you a firm yes right now, is because maybe the offense and how difficult it can be to stop with a potent quarterback back there. It can maybe make up for that little extra juice of recruiting that I'm talking about that I think that you need.
Ben, great stuff, man. As always, we appreciate your time, and I know you are low on sleep, so I hope you get some good rest. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to join anytime. Appreciate y'all having me, and hope you'll have a great rest of your week.
There are not enough four-letter words, Cole, to describe this type of betrayal. Texas A&M head baseball coach Jim Schlossnagle, one day after leading his team to the college baseball national championship game, game 3 in the 3-game series, he announces he is leaving Texas A&M to take the job at the most hated place he could possibly go, Texas.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know, you take a job somewhere else, people are going to be hurt.
Yeah.
They're going to be mad at you. You take a job at, I don't know, Wisconsin. They're going to be like, well, is he from Wisconsin? Is his wife there? Is there a reason why he wants to go to Wisconsin? Why is he going to Southern Cal? Oh, well, it's beautiful weather. It's not balls ass hot like it is in College Station, Texas every single day. But no, you take the job at your hated rival. The hell is wrong with you? What are you thinking, Schlossnagle?
So the best part of it is he got mad last night and walked out on a reporter when the reporter asked this question about that job.
We got guys coming on visits this week, and we got to hold some kids in the draft. We got to put together another good team. We're losing a lot of good players.
Okay, last question. Coach, with respect to the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. That's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question, but I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. Write that.
Write that, he says. Literally, write that. Can we say that? What a jerk.
There are.
Oh, my word.
There are so many types of pearls, Cole. There's South Sea pearls, Cashy pearls, gold pearls, seed pearls, cultured pearls, Tahiti pearls, Baroque pearls, freshwater pearls, conch pearls, blue pearls, mellow pearls. I just want to know how many different varieties of pearls did he clutch in the midst of lying through his teeth during that response. How dare you ask me a question that I know full well that I'm taking that job?
Peace out.
Who do you think you are?
I love it,
You're
man.
just a reporter who's right about me, and I'm going to lie through my teeth.
That absolutely, like, I understand that they just lost. My opinion, it's a valid question, as JJ said earlier. It's a valid question. I don't have an issue with the reporter asking that question. I'd have an issue with him being a complete D-word.
A-hole?
Jerk. Yeah. I think we can say body part. I mean, what a douche, man. Like, that dude, I tell you what, if I heard that audio and I was a Texas fan and I found out that douchebag was coming to coach my baseball team, I'd be like, yeah, no thanks. What an a-hole. Like, come on, dude. He asked a question. You stormed out. He got mad. Write that. And then you took the job less than 12 hours later.
That'd be
bro.
like asking Joseph Stalin, you feel bad about murdering all those people? I don't know. Why would you ask me a question like that? I am a human being, okay? I have feelings. I don't feel bad. I feel tired.
Unreal, man.
Come on.
I mean, you talk about being in the transfer portal. Jim, I mean, what are we doing here? And how do you say his last name?
Schlossnagle?
Schlossnagle. What a freaking
It's pronounced BSer.
Yeah, I agree with that. Pitiful is what I say it is. It's pitiful for him to get mad. Now, I'll tell you what, good hire for Texas, but, man, he didn't need long to think about that, did he? What'd they do? Just send him a screenshot of some oil money receipts, Diesel, and said, hey, look what we brought in last month from the oil company.
Doesn't A&M have all the oil money, though?
Maybe they split it. I don't know. I thought, well, you might be right. That's insane, though.
Wow.
So Jim Schlossnagle leaving to take the job at Texas.
Brutal if you're an A&M fan. That's insult to injury. That is having your guts ripped out.
Yeah, it is. Hey, we hadn't talked a lot of Braves today, but the Braves, Diesel, they lost last night.
Mm-hmm.
Back in action tonight. Reynaldo Lopez, 7:45. I think I'm going to bet on the Braves tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah. I just
feel good about Reynaldo and his sub-2 ERA.
Been so good, man. You know, if I bet on them, though, they'll
Smart
lose.
Bet.
They'll lose if I bet on it. That's how you end a
He'll
streak.
go out and get 5 earned runs in this game, totally screw up the numbers.
That's right. So after last night's loss, they are now 8 games back in the NL East standings, and a win tonight would help things. The problem is the Phillies aren't losing. Like, that's the problem. If they're going to gain ground, they got to get that Philadelphia team up there in Philly to start losing.
Yeah, you know, with the Braves going through the slump that they've gone through, and most teams going through a slump at some point in the season, you have to think that at some point in this season, the Phillies are going to find some struggles, right? They're going to drop some games that they shouldn't drop. I mean, that's what you're hoping for if you're the Atlanta Braves. But then again, Cole, just like we've talked about over the last 3 seasons, teams that are winning the division are not necessarily making it to the World Series.
Yeah, but our luck, the Phillies will.
Yeah, exactly. They will prove themselves a juggernaut. Hey, we'll take a quick look around the sports world, see what's happening in a segment we call our Daily Wires. The Panthers defeated the Oilers 2-1 last night to win the 2024 NHL Stanley Cup. I like the fact that you went bzz. We're trying to be quick, right?
Well,
and use it. It's like a bug zapper.
Quick.
Yeah. Tennessee won its first ever College World Series. They beat Texas A&M 6-5, and Schlossnagle was so hurt by it, he took his ass to Austin. Now, we had a fantastic conversation earlier in the show, Cole, and it's available as a podcast on the Odyssey app and at thephantomstate.com. West Side quarterback Cutter Woods committed to Shane Beamer and South Carolina. We had that conversation. You can hear it on demand wherever you are right now. The Braves are now 8 games back after losing last night to the Cardinals. You said it. Reynaldo Lopez is getting the start for the Braves tonight. The NBA draft starts tomorrow. The top 2 prospects are foreign prospects, Cole. Got to be mad about that if you're a card-carrying American.
Furious.
Yeah,
I tell you,
furious. Next has been confirmed. Now, this has already been rumored out there. It's been put out there, but Chase Briscoe will replace Martin Truex Jr. in the number 19 Toyota Joe Gibbs racing car. That, again, was leaked, but the JGR has confirmed that. Kristaps Porzingis confirmed that he will miss the Olympics after his leg surgery. I mean, that's not really a big surprise. You didn't really expect him to play with that injury. And, of course, with the surgery to repair that injury, you wouldn't expect him to play either. So, tell us something we didn't already know, Kristaps. And finally, UFC lightweight Arman Tsarukyan, I think, was suspended 9 months and fined by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for throwing a punch at a fan. The suspension, though, is not expected to impact his eligibility to fight for a UFC title later this year. What is the point in a suspension if it doesn't negatively impact the fighter and his fight prospects, even up for the next 9 months? It's silly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big UFC guy.
Yeah. There's too many UFCs. I can't keep track of it all unless there's a Ronda Rousey star in the sport.
It's true.
I'm probably not going to watch.
Hey,
that's just a fact.
By the way, tomorrow, if you're over in the Piedmont area, Powdersville, whatever it is, nobody really knows, but it's the live remote with Wire to Wire. Diesel and I will be live at 10903 Anderson Road in Piedmont. We want to see you there. If you're in the area, we'll be broadcasting 3 to 7. See you tomorrow, Tolos.